is up, babies? I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel, and I'm back after taking a day or two off because I was getting kicked in the butt by a cold. Happens. It happens, and frankly, of all the things that could be happening to me, it could be much worse than a cold. Hold on a second. Center myself just a little bit better here. Here we go. Great. Perfect. I need to start putting tape down on the ground so I know exactly where I ought to be setting the wheels on my chair so that way I don't have to adjust my camera every time I sit down. But see, that would be proactive and smart, and that's just not how I roll. Not when it comes to having my stream ready to go. There are many things in my life. I'm a very good planner. I'm very good at coming up with plans, setting goals, making measured, purposeful chunks of progress towards goals and achievements and things. I'm very good about that in many things in my life, but I am not good about it for this stream. I feel like this stream is slowly becoming my outlet for what little bits of chaotic lack of organization exist within me. There aren't many parts of that, but they're there and they demand to be released. And so, hence the way all of my streams go. Real professional. Hope everyone's having a good day. Good week. The thing about taking a couple days off, I feel like I've hardly even begun the week and we're already on the back half of it here. So that's kind of cool. We're on the back nine, as they say, to use the golfing lingo. I used to golf. I mean, I still know how to golf. I just haven't done it much. It's really expensive. Really expensive. Like I played a lot of golf when we were in the height of in the height of COVID, because it was one of the few things that I could actually do, because I could do it on my own and it was outside. I could get out and I could play golf, and that was fun. And now that I'm back to kickboxing, I don't golf at all. I got anything done week already? I know, it happens. I work really hard. You know what I should do? Hold on. So in general, I'm actually a very organized and purposeful person. So this is my notebook. I am not exaggerating. I am not, chair, work with me here. There we go. I'm not exaggerating. This is my weekly planner. This has my week's goals as well as daily goals on it. And this is what just 1 week looks like. There it is. Look at that. That's 1 week. So we still got 2 days. We still got a couple days left in the week. But yeah, this is my I do this every night to make sure I stay on task. It's about to fall off that table, but we'll just let it happen. Yeah, I work really hard to do that. And so for the most part, I'm really good about that. But, you know, you take a day off because of like sickness and stuff and everything, just kind of feels like it's all out of whack. It's weird. It's already the last part of the week. But what can you do? What can you do? That's part of just existing, is catching colds from time to time. You know, you do everything you can to minimize it, but sometimes stuff just happens, especially when you participate in a contact sport like I do. There's only so much you can do to minimize contact with other people, and you know, that's just how it goes. People bring germs around, and it happens, especially when it's a gym that also does kids classes. Germs are around. It's just a hazard of it. I'm frankly just happy that the cold only lasted a few days rather than a couple weeks. Last cold I had, that one really knocked me on my ass. That one had me down for a good, I feel like I remember it being like 2 weeks. 2 weeks I was struggling, trying to kick it. Pretty sure I had a sinus infection at one point in there. My snot looked like egg yolk. It's more information than anyone ever wanted. I apologize. Point is, I'm very content that this cold has only lasted a couple days. Very, very content that I tested and it was definitely not COVID. Because, you know, that's like the fear nowadays, right? That's always the concern. That it's like you start getting sick. It's like, I'm going to have to isolate. So you, like, get the test in and you're just like, not cool. Not cool. So I'm glad it wasn't COVID. Ooh, sinus COVID. Sinus COVID. Sinus COVID would be bad, but sinus infection and COVID, that's also really bad. I'm thankful I haven't had to deal with that. I haven't actually caught COVID since this all started. I have not caught it. Anytime I've been sick, I have not caught. It hasn't been COVID. I've been diligent about testing anytime I feel awful, but I just jinxed myself, I'm sure of it, but... All of that aside, I am feeling much better. Look at that, even the sun is gonna peek out a little bit. It's been cloudy and rainy the past couple of days, which has not helped my headaches and sinuses, but hey, we got the sun peeking out. The world agrees with me that everything is on the up and up today. So... Oh man, yes, that's the worst. That's the worst when you're like going on that streak for like such a long time and you manage to avoid stuff and then it finally happens. That was me a couple weeks ago. 30 years being alive. I finally got my first cavity. It finally happened. I'm so obsessive about brushing and flossing my teeth. I'm not even joking. I floss and mouthwash at least once a day, every single day of my life, because I hate oral surgery and procedures. And so I worked so hard, but it finally happened. They finally found a cavity. 30 years I managed to avoid it. That's shit. That's what it is. But thank you. I am feeling much better. I appreciate that. The sooner you get your first COVID over with, the better. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, if I could avoid ever getting it, the better. That seems like the ultimate way to go. It's like you know, I feel like that's the same with most illnesses. It's like if you can just not get it, that's the best. I don't know, it's a little idealistic, but all right, I'm gonna bring us over. Let's get going on some writing here today. I'm gonna swing us over here. Bring us to our live scene. Ta-da! There we are. So yeah, I'm just gonna ease back into it. I'm gonna do my best to not get super excitable while chatting and try to keep it on the low because my throat mostly feels good, but I don't want to undo that progress. So we're just going to try and keep our nice smooth radio host voice going on today. We are keeping it low and calm and chill with our lo-fi beats in the background as we write. No, I'm not going to take it that far. I don't want to put you to sleep, but yeah, that's true. It could certainly have been an asymptomatic thing. That's always an opportunity there. But I feel like that's kind of like trying to prove that ghosts exist, but they never show themselves to us. It's like, how would you even know? So it's like, maybe I have, but if I haven't had symptoms and I haven't had to isolate from it, I'm counting it as not having had COVID. It's not like throwing up, right? It's like you can't sneak. Like, you know when that happens, so it's there. Like, you just, you know, it's not, I don't know. I feel like that's not fair. I'm counting the streak. You can't prove that I've had it. Yep, exactly. I am vaccinated. I made a very strong point of doing that ASAP so I could actually visit my ma again. She's an amused, compromised, she is amused by many things, but she's an immune compromised individual, so I couldn't see my mom and by proxy my dad for quite a long time, and that was difficult for me as someone who's very close with my family. So I don't know. Whatever it is, I know that this illness was not COVID, and I know I'm feeling better. Let's do some writing. Let's do some writing. That's what I want to do. I want to get back into it. I missed writing. Because like when I had the days off, you know, for a couple of days there, I just didn't really do anything productive, and that's fine. But now that I'm sitting here, it's like I missed it. I love writing. I just love doing it, and I missed it because I had a hard time while I was sick getting my headspace into the right writing space to even work on some of the projects that I don't do on stream. And so it just, you know, you just don't, when you can't do the things you like doing, whether it's no matter what the reason for it is, you know, you just feel off. So I'm glad to be back here. Let's warm up a little bit. I'm gonna warm up by making a couple runes like we've been doing. I've been having a lot of fun with that. I really like this project to the point that I don't even care if anyone else likes it or not. I just sit here and do it. I love doing it. I mean, it works out for me because, you know, my players love that I do it. So, you know, it's a great fun that way. But let's see. Let's get our stuff. We just did Banishment, right? That was the last one we did. That was a good one. Yeah, Banishment was a good one. Let's see what our next one is. Death Ward. Ooh. Okay, this will be fun. Go ahead and get our spell as written copied over so we can go ahead and massage, as I like to say, massage our language a little bit as needed. Boom. this. Da, 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 da. Get our bullet points going here. And then let's get our title here. Okay, that works. Death Ward. Excuse me. All right. Let's see here. You touch a creature and grant it a measure of protection from death. All right, this is easy enough. You touch a creature with the imbued item and grant it a measure of protection from death. The first time the target would drop to 0 hit points as a result of taking damage. Target instead drops to 1 hit point and the spell ends. That's simple enough. We don't even need to change that one. That just works perfectly. I'm gonna modify this though. When you touch a creature with the imbued item and speak the command word, right? I always add that little bit there just because otherwise it becomes unclear. It's like, does the thing always work 24/7? You know, or does it work the first time you touch something with it? If it's a once per day use type of thing, it's like, no, we'll give the command word. You can choose when to use your item, right? It's kind of like, yeah, you know, I view it as like, you know, suppose you had an attack spell, it'd be like wielding a knife, right? It's like you do have a certain degree of control on whether or not you cut someone with said knife. You don't even have to not touch them with it if you touch them with the flat side or something like that. And it's the same concept. I always add that there just to make sure it's actually a functional item that players will want to use. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? If the spell is still in effect when the target is subjected to an effect that would kill it, would kill it instantaneously without dealing damage. That effect is instead negated against the target, and the spell ends. Okay, gotcha. So that's basically like if someone does some sort of like command word kill situation on you, and you could be like, nuh-uh. It's like getting your cootie shot on the playground, right? Power word kill, etc., etc. Power word die, power word collapse, power word stop heart. Oh, that's 2 words. Power word stop, which really just is in the most broadest term, stops all bodily functions, depending on how you define it. Infinite ways you could interpret it, which is why these games are so much fun, because you can just sit there and argue for like five minutes about something until you find the most agreeable version of it, and then everyone be frustrated about it. Okay, anti-disintegrate. Yeah, that's right. Undisintegrate. All right, let's see here. Honestly, I think this is good. Like this really needs minimal amount of work. Type of item it can enchant. It can really enchant anything. I don't want you to get rid of the bullet point. Thank you. Can be placed on any item, really. I mean, it's like, because if you wanted to just do like a Death Ward gauntlet that you just wear on your hand, right? So you can like, the Christ compels you. Power of Christ compels you, right? The command word, and it like compels you to not die. You know, you can just like touch someone on the forehead, or you can just be like power glove that ish and be like, I will survive, and just like sing the Bee Gees or something, right? Like you can do whatever you want as long as you can make contact with it. You could do like a baseball of the Death Ward baseball, and you just chuck it, and you got to hit someone in the eye with it, and you say survive, and you just whip it at someone and just like peg them right in the forehead with it. It'd be perfect. Power word live. The ultimate. That's how it manifests when you use counter spell on someone using a death spell. What's Avada Kedavra backwards, right? That's oh golly. Magic is such a funny concept when you really think about it. I mean, it's obviously made funnier by the fact that you can do literally anything you want, because magic doesn't exist, so the rules are completely up to us. But it's like when you just try to think about it, you know, like how unending the possibilities are. Magic is just a goofy thing. Counterspell. Power word no. That's right. That's the Isildur. Counterspell. No. I love magic. I love magic. That's why I always define magic in my world. Like, magic isn't. I feel like there's this tendency. I go on this rant all the time, but I love this rant, and I want to encourage more people to think about how exactly magic works in their world, because I feel like in a lot of media, magic isn't like thoroughly thought about. It's just kind of used as a tool, um, which is fine depending on what you're trying to achieve. I mean, for like Harry Potter, children's book, like just don't overthink it. Just let it happen, right? Narnia, whatever, it's fine. You're trying to teach kids to not be dickheads to each other. Do whatever you need to do for it. But it's like when you start getting into like deep lore, I feel like it's really easy to sort of ignore the rules of magic until it's like kind of necessary for a conversation, and then they have like these half rules that they kind of invent, but it doesn't really make sense. You know, it's like the Looper version of, but it's like magic instead of time travel. But like, I really like having a set understanding of what magic is and how it works in my world. And the way I describe it is, magic isn't a deck of cards where you draw out the discrete spell that you need, and it's like, oh yes, this spell is always the, this one is always the ace of spades, and it always trumps, the jack or the five or whatever. Like, it's not this pile of discrete specific things that have no flexibility, right? Magic is just a type of energy, similar to how heat would be. And the idea behind casting magic isn't that you are casting a specific spell, but rather you're compelling that energy to form and behave in ways that you want. So it's like there are spells, but a spell isn't a card, it's a recipe, right? And if you follow the recipe specifically as it's written down, you can get predictable results, and that's what casting a spell is. But that's where the room for like these runes and stuff like that comes into play, because the idea is, well, if you change up the recipe, you can modify those results to certain degrees depending on what you want to do. And that's like the concept of where wild magic comes from, because wild magic is like if you're a chef and you're cooking, but occasionally a chimpanzee comes in and just like throws shit all over the kitchen, and you have to deal with that, right? Like that's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I think most people kind of, without meaning to, default into that kind of mindset about magic once they really start using it. But I like having that defined, and I think it's important for me in the way I write to have that defined in my world and have it like very clearly that's how it works, and know and be able to explain that's how it works, because I think that's an important part to having consistency and how magic behaves in my world, right? And it's just by having it that way too, that opens up this room for a lot of flexibility, but have that flexibility still be sort of bound in certain ways, right? Like you can't just flat out say, oh, this one thing that has no basis in anything that exists right now can just exist. It's like, well, you have to kind of figure out why it is. Like, why are there different schools of magic and all that kind of stuff, right? And like the different schools of magic are just different ways to manipulate the energy, not entirely dissimilarly to how there are different, schools of mathematics and chemistry and stuff that are different ways to manipulate the same existing laws, right? Different ways to explain them or work with them, right? Or it's like you can almost think about it as artwork, right? Where it's like painting, painting and music are different ways to express the same emotions, right? That's what schools of magic are, different ways to express the same energies. Yeah, that basic rule for alchemy too, absolutely. Absolutely. Potions like shouldn't be like, oh, if it doesn't exist in the rules as written, it's impossible. It's like, no. It's just that those are the most common ones. Those are the most commonly used recipes. But if you get creative with magical ingredients, you can create anything you want. So I don't know. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, I guess. But it's just, I like I say, I think that's an important thing, an important part of world building that a lot of people kind of brush over and don't think about in too much detail. And I think we can really take our world building up to new levels if we actually take the time to sort of establish those types of rules. School of Science, yeah. I think that is a good way of describing it. Like, it's like, because like biology and chemistry are different schools of science, right? And they approach things differently, and they define things differently, and they have different focuses and results and everything like that, but they still exist within the same rule, the same plane of existence that is governed by the same rules and everything like that. It's a very similar concept. It's a way to add rules while maintaining fluidity is really what it comes down to. And that's like such an important thing to just like world building and game, like tabletop gaming in general. being able to have fluidity while still having, you know, a certain structure to it. You know, it's like you want your world to be like Jello. You know, it's able to move a little bit, but it still has a basic structure, building blocks. That's a more sane person descriptor of it. I like that. So at any rate, let's see here. So the mechanics for this one, I mean, it's kind of the same for all of these when we're doing the runes, but it's basically once per day, speaking the command word and touching the intended target. I actually, you know, when I describe it like that, having to touch the intended target, I kind of like the idea of the Death Ward gauntlet, right? And it's not like you can just like clench your fist like that way. It's like, no, you gotta like touch yourself. So you just see a guy in the middle of a battlefield just doing like the Home Alone and be like, and then like Death Wards themselves because they have to use the gauntlet for it. I think that'd be fun. Maybe that's just me. Range has to make contact. Physical contact. Duration. I'm sure there's a duration to this. Sane's a relative term. Honestly, in today's day and age, if you can hold a conversation, that's good enough. That's good enough. I mean, like, the competition that you're going up against, there's a guy at my I don't mean to be rude about the guy. He's generally a very nice guy, but you can tell he's not completely there. And the convincing factor I had of that was the day he came up to me, because he's very friendly with me. Right, and I'm friendly with him. You know, like, he's a nice guy. I have a cousin who's also got a lot of, you know, struggles, so I'm kind of familiar with that type of personality. You know, but then one day he came up to me and he kind of looked at me and he's like, he very seriously, like completely seriously was like, hey, make sure you're careful out there. I don't know if you noticed, but they've replaced everyone around here. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, there's just a bunch of imposters around here. And he like gestured toward the gym at large, right, where there were no employees on the floor, just people working out. And I was like, okay. I was very close to asking him if he's got someone looking after him at home, but that's your competition for sanity. You know, it's like, yeah, there's levels to it, and as long as you're a functioning individual, I consider you largely sane. Yeah, anywho, duration is 8 hours. If your death ward lasts for more than 8 hours, please call your local alchemist. Alright, there's no real saves or damage buffs or anything like that. We can just kind of get rid of that. I don't think we need to add any additional notes to this one. I think it's pretty straightforward how it is. So an example item for this, I actually like the idea of this one, an example item being, my immediate thought with this is Death Ward shield. And my idea for this is actually, so like generally speaking, like that, so the level 4 spells are kind of where we start getting to, like, these aren't things that are so powerful like God would be impressed by them, but your average person would be very awestruck by this item. So for that, I'm thinking like if the shield is like a special line of shields that were invented for a specific purpose and then just kind of got spread around a little bit after that was, you know, used up. Kind of like old military vehicles that get, like, or old police cars that get retired, and so you see that one person driving the Crown Victoria that's like a police blue, but it has like no stickers or paints or lights on it or anything, and it's like, you bought a retired police car, gotcha, you know, like that kind of thing. Thank God I stopped smoking crack, or else I wouldn't be able to breathe. I mean, you know, I can definitely see that interpreted in many ways. Like, you know, maybe the crack just like really upped his really upped his allergy issues or his respiratory issues. Maybe he's just meaning that he's still alive and so he can still breathe. Either way, honestly, I'm happy for him. It's a good thing he did. You know, it would be better if he had never started in the first place, but hey, you know what? If progress is progress. Man, it's just so wild how different walks of life can be in the world, right? When I think about my life and how foreign some things are to me that are just everyday things to some people, you know, it's like you see that like at the gym, at the kickboxing gym, you get all kinds of people that go there. There's people like me who are people who go to the kickboxing gym because they have lived an incredibly sheltered life and they need to have some way to prove to themselves that they have more metal to them, right? There's the people like me, and then there's other people who use it because otherwise they turn to drugs and gang violence, and so they need something to focus their intense aggression. And it's like, oh boy. Yeah, right. No. I totally understand. Yeah, no, I didn't think you were ragging on the guy, but no, it's like it's that type of thing. It's like for me, as someone who doesn't even drink, has never really drank in his life. I've had alcohol like 2 or 3 times in my life, and each time it was just a sip because I was like, it's not really interested in it. When someone comes up to me and starts talking about like, bump, like casually getting a bump of Coke or something like that, it's like, excuse me, is that a thing people do? I don't even know. Where does one even begin looking for that kind of stuff? I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't understand how someone would just go about that. It's like, do you just go on Craigslist and hope that the person's actually a legitimate dealer and not gonna like, stab you and take your shoes? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm very sheltered on those types of things, and honestly, I think I'm happier for it. Life is a wild thing. Moral of the story is don't judge other people, because if you do, they might get pissed at you and stab you. That's why you don't judge people. It has nothing to do with, giving people the benefit of the doubt. It's everything comes down to self-preservation. That is the end all be all. Alright, anyway, Death Ward Shield. Kind of shields commissioned I don't know how to spell that word. It's 2 M's. That's what I'm missing. It was 2 M's. I had the right number of S's. It was missing an M. No, if you're here because you're interested in the process of coming up with cool ideas, come to the right place. If you're here because you want to see someone who is an excellent editor and can really teach you how to like really get the finer points of spelling and grammar, run far away. Run away and never return. So touching to someone to use it seems a little awkward. Yeah, that's fair. Hey friend, just hold still. Gunk. No, my thought is this one. With this one, is like it would be used as a way like you could, like my initial thought of it was like they could lay the shield on someone and speak the command word with it. Like, so if someone's injured, like someone's wounded in battle, they could either use it for themselves and death ward themselves to just like get a last minute save, right? It's like maybe it's like the strap on the handle, right? You like touch yourself on the chest, or if there's someone else like who just gets felled with an attack, you like swoop in like a paladin could swoop in and cover their buddy with it and use it, is what I had envisioned, right? It's like almost the rune itself would be on the handle rather than the shield itself. A line of shields commission. That is I do like that better. I like that better. It's like, this is gonna hurt, but it'll keep you alive. Gong, and you just like gong them right in the dome with it. I like that. No, I'm with you. The funnier the mental image, the better. Especially if it's a misunderstanding version like this, where it's like you can clarify and it's like, oh, that makes much more sense. But you can still get that initial startling, like, when you do what now with it? I think that's beautiful. Oh boy, hold on 1 second. Come on, work phone. Catch up. Come on, work phone. I need you to catch up for me here. There we go. Sorry. Hey, Gabby. Good to see you. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are doing well as well. I am feeling much better. My cold, like, I'm not going to say I'm 100% over the cold, because I still sound like I'm going like this. There's hardly a difference, but I'm feeling much better. Thank you for asking. But yeah, so a line of shields commissioned by we'll just, I'm not even going to say who it was by. Just a line of shields commissioned for which the handles were imbued with Death Ward. The handle could be used by the wielder to tap themselves or their intended, we'll say themselves or a companion they wished to save in emergencies to survive otherwise fatal situations. We'll say after the war, the shields were often sold by soldiers who suddenly found themselves in need of cash because the king's GI the king's retired GI budget was abysmal. King's retired I'm totally gonna make that canon. King's retired GI budget was non-existent. Existent and pensions. No, I'm not gonna go into pensions. I do like that though. The king's like, yes, you have served me well. Bye. It just like lets and just leaves him. Like, wouldn't that be such a kingly thing to do? God, I wish I were a king so I could just fuck over everyone else. It'd be so good to be rich. Everyone always talks about, oh, if I get rich, I'm gonna do all these philanthropic things. It's like, you know what? Fuck that. Fuck that. History has shown that 99% of us, no matter what we say when we're poor, once we're rich, we're gonna become complete and utter dickheads. That's what I'm gonna do. As soon as I become rich, I'm gonna do everything I can to fight tax laws. I'm gonna make sure that I pay $0 in taxes. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm gonna be the richest rich person you've ever seen. What a dickhead approach that would be. If I ever do that, if I ever make it rich and then become like that, I give anyone permission to come up and just flick me in the ear. Just like tell me, it's like, you asshole, and then play a clip of me saying that I will give you permission to do that. And the best part about it is, I'll be rich, so I'll probably just have a bodyguard that'll come and beat your ass, and I'll laugh because I've turned into an asshole. Ha ha! I win again. Oh, nice. There was a time in my life when I was house hunting, and then I decided not to because I was worried about my ability to afford the house, to like afford payments and everything like that. And then the current economic status happened, and I'm really glad I don't own a house right now because my income has not gone up to match this situation. So if my house was in disrepair, it would be getting worse right now. Like it's easy to think like, oh, I should have bought when I could afford it, but the fact is I could barely afford it. And I would have been house poor, and so I'd be like really house poor right now. Like I wouldn't have been at a point where I outright owned the house. I'd be at a point where I was struggling to make mortgage payments. So that one kind of worked out in my favor this time around. But that sounds fun. That's the flip side, is if you can't afford a house. Like, one of these days I would love to be able to afford a house. That would be a wonderful thing. And not just have to rent and hope to God that my downstairs neighbors don't get pissed off when I'm walking around or my cat's sprinting up and down the apartment. Because she does that. She gets very excited and she runs laps. Alright, Death Ward imbuement. If it becomes sentient. So, if it's good, I always like to have it be doing something a little extra for the person that does it. And so I think what I'm going to do for this one, for if it's good, the shield is particularly determined to channel the magical energies it controls into the target. Person receiving the we'll say the target, let's see here. The target, upon taking damage that would otherwise drop them. This is a really long, convoluted way to put this. Here, hold on. Target takes damage that would drop them, yeah, to 0 hit points. Target upon, hold on, that's what I need. I need a comma there. Otherwise, this is going to be the run-on sentence of the year. Target, comma, upon taking damage that would otherwise drop them to 0 hit points, comma, drops to 5 hit points instead of only 1. So it's like it channels a little bit of healing energy into there, and it really gives you that extra little boost. So it's like you got 5 hit points. So depending on what hits you, what scenario you're in, especially at lower levels, that could actually be really significant. That could give you a couple rounds, depending on how things pan out. I like that. For evil, so evil is, again, always doing something sort of negative to the opponent. What we'll say is, here's what my thought is. The shield imbues the target with a small charge of magical energy. When the oh, you good. You clipped the I'm assuming the bit about me giving you permission to come up and mildly abuse me if I turn into a rich asshole. Perfect. Yeah, hold my feet to the fire. Friggin' do that. We need more accountability in this world. Let's see here. When the target is returned to 1 hit point after dropping to 0, a small burst of energy is released. We'll say doing 5 damage to the we'll say to the enemy, doing 5 damage to the enemy that hit the target. Wow, that's like such a convoluted way to say it, but I think it makes sense. The shield imbues the target with a small charge of magical energy. When the target is returned to 1 hit point, right, the target of this spell, returned to 1 hit point after dropping to 0, a small burst of energy is released, doing 5 damage to the enemy that hit the target. Boom, there we go. Got it. Bada bing, bada boom. If it makes you feel better, I don't know how to clip anything. I rely on you guys to do it for me. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing up here at all. I barely know how to make sure things are functioning, and I remember to change the title of my screen. Pro tips. My parents thought about getting an RV and living in it for a little while. They thought about doing that to travel the world. Well, you know, the continental United States, I should say. Can't drive everywhere in the world, but they thought about doing that for a while. The only reason they didn't is because my ma got sick, and so she can't stray. She needs to have like a home base so she can go see her doctors and everything. So that was the only reason they didn't. But they still intend to travel, but they're not going to do it via RV. They need to be a bit more just discreet and finite in the amounts of time. Want to drive to Iceland? Hell yeah! Get an amphibious vehicle. I mean, we got to be getting close to having those things. I know they exist, so we got to be getting close to consumer market amphibious vehicles. It's gonna happen. One of these days, it's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen. All right, let's see here. If the thing is lawful. If the thing is lawful, it's like, so again, lawful is like you focus it, but it's a bit more powerful. See, these ones are always hard when there's just like one discrete event. It's kind of hard to think about exactly how it can be a bit more potent, but more focused. I'm almost wondering if we can just like have it be like you choose a specific type of damage, but it like does it twice. Hey, Fishy, the rhino. Oh, the rhino thing. That was a long time ago. Well, not really a long time ago. We wrote that a while ago. I'm not running this campaign presently, so I don't know. Well, one of these days we'll find out. But I'm just writing a campaign right now. This one, I run a campaign, but it's a different one than I do on stream, so that way my players can't get any spoilers and stuff like that. So, I think it turned out okay. I think it turned out pretty cool. But yeah, well, time will tell. One of these days, if it actually works as cool as I thought it was going to. Oh boy. Let's see here. Yeah, so if it's lawful, I'm almost wondering if we can, like, I kind of like the idea of so like we can say something along the lines of, the item is only in tune to prevent magical damage. However, it is capable of saving the target twice before the spell ends, right? So it's like it'll only save you from magical stuff. I actually kind of like that. I think that's an interesting modification to it, right? So it's magical death ward. In terms of just getting stabbed in the face, like, well, you know, it is what it is. Sorry, sucker. It makes me think of Dune, right? Where it's like they have personal shields, like they have their kinetic shields that are like energy shields, but the energy shields, because of that, it just increased, it like returned the existence to a state, like it turned warfare into a state of having blades be prominent again, because the kinetic shields, like they basically protected you from things based on velocity. So it would stop bullets, but it couldn't stop a sword, because a sword was too slow for the shield to register, right? And so it was like swords and knives were suddenly like big players again, you know, even though you were good to go from bullets. Which is such an interesting concept. It's such a fascinating concept to me. It's something that I don't know that I would have ever come up with on my own. But it's such a cool idea. Really, really cool idea that I really like. It's one of the things I like about Dune. Dune is such a cool bit of like 80s sci-fi. I love 80s sci-fi and 80s fantasy. Such cool aesthetics they have going on there. But yeah, I kind of like that. And so then for chaotic, what I'm thinking here is let's see here. The item tries to protect beyond its own, oops, where are we? Own, let's see. Actually, so here's what I want to say this. The item, yeah. Oh, the item. That's why, because I already have the item. I was like, what are you talking about? I spelled item exactly right. Yeah, I just did it twice, like a dummy. The item does not imbue a target, a specific target. When activated, the first creature within 5 feet of the item. When activated, the first creature within 5 feet of the item that drops to 0 HP is returned to 1 HP. Right? So it's like so this item, this chaotic item, like it's like the concept is that it's almost like it's too unfocused, so you can't imbue a creature with the spell. Instead, the item itself is imbued with the spell, and the creature, you know, whoever is within 5 feet of it, like the first one to drop will fall, right? So it's like the idea is, as a baseline, suppose you did have a shield, right? The shield itself is imbued with it, and the idea is that the wearer will be able to be saved because they'll be the creature within 5 feet that would fall from it, right? But if you're if you've got this sentient chaotic item and you're in like a like a fortification line, you know, or a front line of soldiers or something like that, and the guy next to you drops, the spell goes to the guy next to you. You know, whether you consider that a good or a bad thing probably depends on the specific circumstances. But I actually really like that idea. I think that's kind of a cool variation to it as well. I kind of like these variations. They're a little more out there than I might normally do, but I like them. I like them. I think they're good. All right, so now if it's cursed. So I'm wondering, trick with this is going to be, how do you balance this? Because what my first thought is for a cursed item is that it'll return you to much higher HP, right? But it's only temporary for like the remaining duration of the spell, after which point you will drop to 0 hit points and you'll need to be effectively revived by your teammates, right? So it's like it boosts you up, but only for like the remaining 8 hours of whatever it is. That's what my thought is. So I'm like, the question becomes, I think, is would it be too powerful to say that it returns you to full HP, right? Do you just have them go to half HP or something like that? Because my idea is that it basically gives you a second life, but then that second life is taken away at the end of the spell. And you better hope that you've got someone there. So it's like a single person using that would really be in trouble, right? But if you're with a party, as long as you've got a good medicine man, you guys can just like all, you know, after the fight is over, find a place to hide out, and you can just kind of sit there and be like, all right, well, I guess we'll just chill here. We'll just chill here and figure out, you know, what to do. Oh, that's a good idea. Negate the damage so the hit just does nothing. They're temporary for only 1 minute. That's cool. That's a much more functional, like that's a much more functional version of it. But it would be less interesting as a roleplay wise. So like the you know, the thought of it knocking you out in 8 hours, you know, when the spell ends, would be a really interesting roleplay thing to me. That's the one thing that's keeping me on like the have it last longer than just a minute, because I actually really like the idea of, especially if they like the first time they're using it and they don't know that it's cursed, because that's always the idea that I have, is like when you first try to imbue this thing, if you accidentally imbue it as a cursed item, you don't know right away, right? Like you're not, like really in general, once you imbue it, you don't really know if it worked until you use it, right? Is kind of the idea. And so if it's cursed, they wouldn't know. And I just think it would be a really interesting roleplay thing. Yeah, I mean, even if they do know, I think it would be really interesting to do it later. Because it's like, suppose they're in the middle of a dungeon, someplace where it's not safe to take a long rest, right? You could really screw with them that way, you know? Like, you could really mess with your players that way. Or if they're, like, on a time budget, and it's like, oh, we need to finish this mission, you know, within the next, you know, 12 hours, and then they know that 8 hours from now, one of their guys is going to be knocked unconscious, and they're going to have to deal with that. It's like, okay, you know, that's going to add a lot of time to your stuff. How do you manage that? That's the one reason that I'm thinking. So, yeah, I kind of want to stick to my guns on this one and do, yeah, in like 8 hours, they drop to 0. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think I want to do that. So, and I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to have it bring them up to half hit points. Because the one thing that I worry about doing full hit points is if they're like level 20 and they have like 200 HP or whatever, then it would be, yeah, no, it would drop them to 0. Like, it just gives them their temporary, and like once the spell wears off, it takes back the temporary life that it gave you, right? That's just what it does. That's just what it does, you know? And so it's like, so like in that sense, it would almost make more sense to give back the full HP, because then it's like, yeah, it gives you that, but then it will take away that full HP. So even if they do heal themselves up fully, it'll still knock them unconscious. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it revives you to full HP, but then in 8 hours you are immediately to 0, and you're making either your death saves or someone needs to stabilize you. I think that's what I want to do. I think that's a really cool cursed item. When the target is dropped to 0 HP, the target is dropped to 0 HP, they will say the item returns them to full health. Problematic side effect. That return to full health is only temporary. At the end of the 8 hours that the spell lasts, the target is immediately knocked unconscious and must either make their death saving throws or be stabilized and healed by a companion. Boom. I actually really like that. I like that a lot. Necromantic holidays. Coincidence? Not at all, because obviously things that dance between the realms of the living and the dead are some of the most important things to figure out in just about any fantasy setting. Because like it's one of the most impossible it's one of the most impossible things within reality, which means it's one of the first things we're going to imagine being possible in fantasy, right? Like, I think that just stands to reason. That just makes perfect sense to me. What it takes to remove must be removed magically. If the owner tries to abandon the item will knock them. Let's see, we'll say the item will steal their health 8 hours after the attempt. The owner can only be revived if the item is returned to their person, right? So it's like if you try to ditch it and you walk away from it, like if you try to throw it away and leave it, 8 hours later you're going to be knocked unconscious, and you better hope that someone remembers where that thing was left and you can get it. Otherwise you're just like, you know, you're just going to be dead forever. Like, it basically leaves you there. It's sort of my idea behind it. That almost seems a little too mean, doesn't it? I don't know. I might not want to do it the 8 hours. It might just be they immediately are knocked unconscious and they can only be revived if the item is returned to their person. Otherwise, like, what can you do? Like, they would have to be healed immediately. So it becomes trapped in the shield. Yeah, you're the one who turns the shield. Your collective sentience gets added to the shield. Oh my god, can you imagine? Can you imagine a cursed shield that has the souls of, like, you know, dozens of soldiers who tried to get rid of the shield, like, stuck in it? Oh, that'd be a twisted item. That'd be a twisted item. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Steal their health. I'm gonna get rid of the 8 hours. What I'm gonna do is steal their health and render them unconscious immediately. The owner can only be revived if the item is returned to their person. If the owner is not revived, their soul becomes trapped in the shield. Boom. There we go. I like that. That's perfect. That's perfect. Ooh, I like that. That is a cool cursed item. That is a really cool curse. I like that a lot. That's awesome. All right. With this item done, I am going to make a quick trip to the restroom, refill my beverage, and then I'll be right back, and we will continue being creative. So sit tight. I appreciate your patience, and I will be right back. right. Whew. All right, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Oh my goodness, I got a follower while I was gone. Man, oh man. Followed me while it's an empty chair right there. Boy, oh boy, are you going to love it when I'm actually here doing something. Entertainment value goes sky high when that happens. Oh, golly. Good stuff. All right, let's see. What time is it? Oh, 30. Oh, gotcha. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. That's funny. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I'm glad you're having a good time. It's just funny timing is all. A happy change. Usually when you walk away and pause the stream, people leave. You don't usually get more followers. Boy, oh boy, that's exciting. Oh, golly. Let's see here. All right, I want to do one more. We're kind of warmed up creatively, and I do want to work on our campaign a little bit, but I'm having fun with these. So let's make one more. Let's make one more. Kind of a redundant statement to say I'm having fun with this stuff, because it's like, obviously I'm having fun with it. Why would I do it if I weren't having fun with it? But still, I wanna do one more. And you can't stop me. Ha ha. All right. Freedom of movement. Oh my god, this has to be on shoes, right? Like, it's got to be on shoes. All right, hold on. Let's get over here and we will see exactly the way it's worded. That can really influence everything. Boom, but doom, just got a formatting good, and then freedom of movement. That's literally a pair of shoes that let you, like, it's steel-toed shoes. You can walk anywhere in them. Okay. Touch a willing creature. For the duration, the target's movement is unaffected by difficult terrain. Spells and other magical effects can neither reduce the target's speed nor cause the target to be paralyzed or restrained. Okay. Here's what we're going to say. The command word is spoken while wearing the imbued shoes. This is 100% going to go on shoes. I'm 100% going to do that. Yeah, we're working on, I have a homebrew rune system that I use for my players in my game, and they have a lot of fun with it because it lets them make some much cooler, more exciting items that are more specified to exactly what they want their characters to be like, and it makes it, I don't know, it just makes it more fun than just everything being a +1 sword that makes you ditch out on, you know, whatever cool flavored sword you use that was supposed to be like the, you know, handed down for generations and generations stuff. It's like, nah, like, take your current weapon and turn it into the weapon you want your character to have. It makes it so much cooler, so much more fun. And my players really enjoy it. So, but yeah, this one definitely has to go on shoes. Like, I'm making that, or socks, can be put on any footwear. Boom, there we go. That's how it has to be. That's how it has to be. There's no other option. So I decree, because this is my world and I'm God and I can do what I want. Here we go. See, that's the trick to being a DM, because you have to be narcissistic and you have to be on a power trip. That's what makes a good DM. Okay, so the command while wearing the we'll just say the imbued item. All right. For the duration, targets the wearers. The wearer's movement is unaffected by difficult terrain and spells and other magical effects. Can neither reduce the target's speed nor cause the target to be paralyzed or restrained. You publish this anywhere? I presently don't, but there are so many people that ask me if I publish this that I'm starting to think I should probably do it. Like, I do have in mind that one of these days, both the campaign that I'm running and like this system, one of these days I'm gonna figure out how to like put it on DriveThruRPG or something like that and make it available to people. The hard part is time. I have so many things going on in my life these days that it's hard for me to have time to do all of these things. So I would like to. I would very much like to. The hard part is figuring out how to like format it and stuff like that. Could do a Patreon. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Could do a Patreon, and it's like subscribers can have access to it. And if I did that model, actually, that would make a lot of sense, because then I could just like keep it as a OneNote notebook, and it's like every month anyone who re-ups gets like the updated notebook or something like that. And I could do something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's a good thought. That's a good thought. I really should. One of these days I'll figure that. One of these days I'll actually do myself a favor and give people the opportunity to support me even more in exchange for these things. No, I genuinely have been thinking about it for a while. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. So keep bothering me about it, and I'll actually do that. And so yeah, no, I am totally open to the idea, and I'm quite flattered that people are interested in the stuff that I make enough that they would actually want to, have it be accessible. Exactly. The good old days of the Facebook poke, right? Like, revive that. Just keep bothering me about it, and eventually we'll get there. It'll happen. All right, let's see what else we got here. Hey, have you done it yet? Like, no, I have not done it in the past 2 minutes. I wish I had that ability to be like 3 people all at once. If I had a time turner, I never understand, like in Harry Potter, right? When they had the time turner, I never understood why it is they were insistent upon, oh, you must never see your past self. It's like, what if it's just the past self that knows that you have the time turner? Like, what kind of weirdo would see that and their reaction would still be to like kill themselves? Like, if I bought myself a watch that I could travel time with, right? And I was like, oh, sweet, I just got this time traveling watch. And then I looked up and it was me. I'd be like, hey, we used the watch, didn't we? And then future me would be like, yeah. And we'd be like, awesome. It's like, and we'd high five. And like, what if you high five yourself, does that still count as clapping, or is that a high five? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Like, I would be totally cool with that. And so like, if I could time turner myself, I would probably make it a habit of just having 5 versions of myself going about daily activities, so that way I only have to really do 1/5 of the work. My idea is that if the same matter gets too close in different times and portions of space-time, they say that's there, but it's like, are you really the same matter? Because like the future self goes through, like, maybe there's a certain amount of time that has to pass. But like the future self, you recycle through your cells and everything. So it's like, I don't know. And the other thing about it too that I've never understood is, we're talking about something that's functionally impossible anyway. So why the fuck are we putting weird arbitrary limits on it? No, fuck that shit. Like, if I have an imaginary thing that lets me travel in time, then I'm going to imaginarily let it make it so that I can just like hang out with myself and like play multiplayer games with myself and just have a rad time doing that. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. Why are we limiting ourselves in our imagination? Doesn't make any sense to me. It's like when people are all like, oh, but like, if you could pause time, would you still age? No, obviously not. That'd be horribly inconvenient. So if we're going to imagine a superpower that doesn't exist in the first place, so much, yeah, exactly. There's so much. No, okay, let's keep it straight. The fan fiction that exists for Harry Potter is not to clear up logical fallacies. That's something that people do in it. But the reason fan fiction exists for Harry Potter is because people love to self-insert into it and or make their ships happen. Let's keep it straight. Assuming limited time travel. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you wanna take those things, but are we gonna act like that means anytime within our lifetime we're going to be able to actually we're gonna actually be able to time travel? Let's be real here. Oh my goodness. No self-inserts. Tell that to the fanfic writing community. Wah, wah. I mean, I don't actually really have an issue with people doing it, but like, it's like, because it's all, again, it's just all people writing, it's people's expression of something that they're really passionate about and they really have interest in. And if that's a gateway to people being creative and creating their own things from scratch, then hey, more power to it. consequences we could have now. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it, because if they eventually invent time travel that causes people to go back in time and change the past, why are we worried about it? They changed the past. It's already changed. Whatever they changed has happened, right? Unless we're talking about multiple realities in which they branch off, in which case we clearly don't have to worry about it because things are cool and copacetic right now. Again, I just don't see the issue. I don't see the issue. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good point. It like takes a lot of the world building. For me as a world builder, I love creating a world from scratch, but if someone who wants to just imagine a story, the world building can really bog down the story you're trying to tell if you're just trying to like talk about a human series of actions or something like that. It's a really good point. It's a really good point. All right, anyway, what does this say? The target can also spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape from non-magical restraints such as manacles, or a creature that has it grappled. Finally, being underwater imposes no penalties on the target's movement or attacks. That one's pretty rad right there. You know, just have freedom of movement underwater. I mean, you still have the whole breath holding issue, but hey, you know, whatever. We'll say, okay, so mechanics, how it's cast once per day. The command word is spoken by the wearer. Bada bing, bada boom. Range. Item must be worn. You have to be wearing it. What is the duration for this? I know that it already exists. Duration is 1 hour. 1 hour. And then we don't need to worry about these things. And I don't think we need any additional notes. That's fine. All right. So now the example item, freedom of movement. I like the idea of it like just being slippers or socks or something like that, like something really innocent. Like socks of escape. Of escape. We'll say hold on, here we go. Originally commissioned as, dang it, I did it again. Commissioned as a gag item by someone wanting to prank their brother who often won in wrestling matches. The original creator of these items saw a much more marketable item. Marketable? Or marketable item. Eventually, however, these socks were banned in most cities as criminals took to stealing and then using them to avoid capture. There we go. Boom. There we go. I love it. Runes need to be created by the wearer, or the items to do. So the way the runes work is like it's an actual rune, like a stone item. The way I do it is like you find the stone that has the rune, and then the user has to go through the crafting process to transfer the magic in the rune to the item. Is the way it's done. And I have like a homebrew crafting system in place that I use to sort of put rules to that and how it works. But that's the baseline behind it. So yeah, right. Only marketable if someone exactly. You don't have to be old to understand good culture. Okay, it's like when my dad gets surprised at me because I know songs from like the 70s. I'm like, Dad, like I'm capable of looking up music beyond what's made this year. Like old good music remains good even over the years. So like, yes, I recognize that I'm a little young to have listened to Eric Clapton in his prime, right? But I still know who Cream was, and I know that they have good music. So much better. Well, okay, so now that one I think is a little bit of a I don't know. I'm not gonna say bad take, but I think there is excellent music from the past and from the present. There's excellent anything made from the past and the present. It's just a matter of what your tastes prefer. Like, I don't think it's fair to say that music back then was so much better than music nowadays, because there's some amazing music made nowadays. Any of Kendrick Lamar's past 3 albums have been lyrically amazing and could rival just about any other lyrical creation in history. Like, I will absolutely stand by that. They are fantastic albums, right? Another good example is listen to most of the synth music made nowadays, compare it to the 80s. Could be the same exact stuff, right? It's all a matter of taste. So I'm not gonna, like, keyword some, I mean, I don't know, like, it's so easy to shit on modern stuff and be all like, oh, they don't make it like they used to. But it's like, it's because we only remember the good stuff from the past. Like, do we really think that there were only 17 bands in the past that we remember, right? It's like, how many, for every Beatles, how many crappy garage bands that put out 2 albums were out there, right? It's like, it's so easy to have that survivorship bias about past artworks, right? Because we only remember. It's like, do we really only think there were 20 movies from the 50s that were ever made? And like, no, it's like, those are just the really, really good ones that are still worth watching nowadays. You know, it's like, what does that mean for nowadays, right? You know, it's like, think about even just 10 years ago. How many albums from 2010 do we actually remember compared to how many were actually made? Because the good ones survive and remember those, and you know, that's what it is. So I think it's real easy for us to crap on modern day art, but I think that's actually a really unfair thing. I don't know. I get a little steamy about that one, but I think it's just because it's really unfair to say that any generation is better than the other. It's all about taste. It's all about taste, right? Because yeah, like if you're a classic 50s and 60s fan, it's like there are performers and artists out there that are perfectly capable of vocally keeping up with the likes of Sinatra. Right? It's just that we need to sift through all of the not good ones to get there. Just like back in the 50s, you had to sift through all of the really mediocre singers to find that one Sinatra, right? It's like, you know, you've got Sinatra, you've got Crosby, you know, you've got a handful of those old, really good performers. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I think it's really unfair. I think it's really unfair when people immediately discredit modern things, because I think there are a lot of really, really good modern things being created all the time. I think it's true all the time. So, yeah, exactly. It's a you thing, right? If your taste doesn't coincide with things that were being made in 2010, then yeah, you won't like that. But that doesn't mean there was nothing good created in 2010. So, modern albums are really good. See, I don't even agree with that. I disagree with that completely. I think there are some amazing albums that are getting pumped out nowadays. I think you just have to know where to search from. And like I say, you just have to remember, we can point to like, oh, but what about this, that, and the other album? But how many actual albums do we remember in the past compared to how many were made? Right? Think about an old school record shop that had shelves and shelves and shelves and crates and milk crates and boxes full of records that were they only had like 2 or 3 copies of those. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of records, and we remember 20 of them from a given year, right? Like that's just what it is. That's just what it is. And when you look back, you might think, oh, there was so much more in the past, but we're talking about the 60s. That's a decade's worth of stuff right there, you know? So it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Hunt's Lantern. I'm with you. Like I think that there's so much good stuff being produced. every single day, I think it's just really easy to not feel like, we're in the best time for this, that, or the other type of art, because for every one good thing that gets made, there's 100 bad things that get made. And when you look in the past, those 100 bad things have been abandoned and forgotten about. So we only see that one good thing from the past. Give it 30 years, and the one good album that was released today will be the only one we remember. And we'll look back at 2022 and be like, damn, there was some good music getting made then, right? Like, that's what'll happen. That's what'll happen. And our kids will be, and we'll be sitting there, I'll be 60 years old, sitting there while the little kids, nowadays are listening to, alien synth rap funk or whatever is really popular then. And I'll be like, they don't make music like they used to, because I'll turn into a cranky old man, right? But the fact is, they're still making really good music. It's just tastes change, technology changes, things change. It doesn't mean things are bad. It's just different. It is different. Next, I've been meaning to watch Letterman's new show. I've been meaning to watch that. I haven't done it. I've been meaning it. I've got a really big list of TV shows I need to catch up on. TV, I love television. I think there's some really awesome television shows out there, but it's one of the things that I have the least amount of time in my life for. Yeah, exactly. It just, like, the good stuff has to be found. We have to wade through all the crap before we can just have the good stuff. And that's, like, the benefit that history has. People have already done the work of wading through the crap. And that's like, and so that's why it's so easy for us to be like, oh gosh, they just don't make bands like the Beatles anymore. It's like, of course they do. It's just that we're in the middle of their career. We don't have the retrospective view to recognize how much great stuff that they've produced in a short amount of time, right? Because we're in the middle of it. We don't have that lens. Excuse me. How much stuff gets yeah, I mean, exposure's part of it, but I don't know. I think every generation and every art form has that exact same problem. I don't know that I even necessarily disagree with you. I just don't agree that that's a new issue. I think it's always been an issue, whether the good stuff whether the good stuff versus the marketable stuff gets pushed forward. I think that's always been an issue since the invention of radio. Like, I think that's just what it is. I think that's what it is. And so that's why it just, I don't know. You worry about you getting ranty. I'm sitting here having an actual rant about it, but I feel strongly about it. I feel like, and I feel like that's what makes people so, defensive about their taste in music. It's like, you don't have to be defensive. If you like something, then just vibe with it. My God, life is too short to, feel bad about the things you like. And so that's why I think that's why I kind of get defensive on other people's behalf, of people who be all like, oh, they don't make good stuff nowadays. It's like, of course they do. They make good stuff all the time. They make good stuff all the time, and we listen to it. They're making good stuff. There's a great album being dropped today. I can almost guarantee it, right? And it's like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not good. But yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's just one of my things. That's just one of my things. It's like, if we only ever focus on the past and don't try to imagine the new stuff, then we don't actually progress. Like, that's the sort of the other side of that coin. And so, I don't know, give modern stuff a bit of a chance. Recognize the good stuff in it, so that way we can refine that stuff rather than just like throwing it all out. Because if we just say there's no good stuff being made at all today, we're just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because there's plenty of good in amongst all of the garbage that gets released. So the moral of the story is, you're all wrong, I'm right, and I have the microphone to prove it. No, I don't know. Like, I don't mean to make anyone else feel bad about their opinions, because if you like old stuff better, then by all means listen to that. Just the claim that there's no good stuff being produced nowadays, I think is just I think it's a poor take. I think it's a poor take that really sort of just what's the word I'm trying to say, that just discredits a lot of good stuff that's being made nowadays, is sort of what my thing is. But I mean, yeah, don't force it, but I mean, who's forcing music on anyone, right? The radio's just playing what people want to listen to. And if you don't like it, just don't listen to the radio. Like, no one's forcing music on anyone. I think music is one of the least forced things. So, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you've got specific tastes, then that's fine. You know, that's the beauty of modern day things like Spotify, where you can just search and it will kind of listen to the stuff that you like. My dad has a Spotify playlist that hasn't played a song released after 1982 once, right? Because that's the music he likes, and Spotify does it for him, right? It handles all that stuff. The old stuff is good, but you'll eventually run out. That's the one thing my dad always says. He always says, like, whenever it's why, even though my dad chooses to always listen to the same old stuff all the time, he's at least willing to listen to new stuff that me or my sister or my ma bring to him. Because he always says, yeah, the one problem with the oldies is they're not making more of them. And, like, that's just it. That's just it. They're not making more songs from the 60s. You know, the times that's over. It's over. It's gone. You know, you gotta, if you want something new, you gotta be willing to listen to new stuff that's been made afterwards. Because, like, you know, like I say, they've already filtered through. And so we already know what all the good stuff was back then. You can't find more good stuff from back then. We already figured it out. It's been hammered out. You just got to find the right radio station, I would argue. You got to find the right radio station. It might be a locational thing too. I live in a decently sized city, and there are dozens of radio stations that cover just about anything that you could be interested in. We're already starting to recycle. We've been recycling the 80s for like 5 years already. Like that's how it is. Everything is cyclical. And like that's part of the refining process. We find some of the old stuff, like we're finding the stuff from the 80s that was actually really good, and we're like, no, wait, this part was really good. Let's keep that and let's do some more stuff. I think actually one of my hot takes is that the 80s had brilliant ideas but not the technology to keep up with it. Because look at how much 80s culture is coming by nowadays that we absolutely love, and it, like, music sounds amazing, television is just like a beautiful thing. Yeah, you know, like we're like things like Stranger Things are coming out and everyone loves them. It's because we have the technology to keep up with the ideas of the 80s. Nordic Chants, yeah. I mean, like, it's not like the hip hop and new thing, but I mean, remember when sea shanties came back for a few months? Yeah, we're always taking old things. Nordic Chants, if they're not already somewhere, they will be. Like, it'll absolutely happen. Absolutely. 80s and early 90s. Yeah, I was early 90s when I was growing up, and I got a lot of holdover of the 80s because my sister's older than me. So yeah, I don't know. That was a real long rant and a real long sidestep from what I'm working on here. But no, I feel really strongly about that, and I think one of the reasons I feel really strongly about that is because I think all of us as creative individuals could really benefit from not throwing out immediately things that other people create and other things that we hear and can get there's so many places to take inspiration from, and I think it's lame to cut things off just because of a year number on it or something like that. You know, it's like I think there's a lot more good to be found if we give things a proper chance to be good, if that makes sense. You know, it's why for me, I am not the kind of person who will, if a book doesn't catch my attention in the first chapter, put it down. Like I pretty much always finish a book that I start. Because it's like, you know, just because it doesn't captivate me in the first chapter doesn't mean there's not still good to take from it. That's my take, you know, and like other people have the take of, oh, life's too short to read things that you don't like, you know, but it's like we all still agree that there's good to take from classical literature that we all hated reading in high school, right? It's like you can still gain stuff if you give stuff a proper chance to give what it's trying to give, you know. So I don't know. I don't like it when people immediately write stuff off, because it's like, man, you know, someone put a lot of time into that. You know, it's like let's at least be willing to give it a proper shake, you know. And I feel like music is an easy target for a lot of that kind of stuff because there's such a wide variety of it that if someone doesn't immediately gel with, like, you know, the newest thing, then you know, they're just immediately like, oh, well, I can't. Like, well, no, there's still plenty of good stuff in there. Just got to be willing to search for it, find it, and enjoy it yourself. So it's like Vikings is resurged. Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's been a big resurgence of a lot of old school stuff in general. I mean, case in point, the fact that 9 out of 10 movies being made right now are like reboots of stuff. You know, reboots or remakes. That's all we do. Or it's a Marvel movie. It's one of those two things. It's a reboot or it's a Marvel movie. Those are your two options. Those are your options. Buying your DMs. An in-person session. Nice. Yeah, I play primarily online, but I love in-person sessions. My group, we try to get together in person once or twice, like once every month or two is what we try to do. And we try to we try to meet up in person, and we'll just do like, we've got mega dungeons that we'll just slowly chip away at, so that way we don't disrupt our online session and everything. Hard to take something for anything. I mean, like, again, everyone's welcome to approach media however they want. It's just like, I guess what I would say is, if you don't finish a book, don't call it bad, just saying you didn't like it. Right? There's a difference. Like, I guess that's also part of it too. There's a difference between something is bad and I did not like something. There are things that are legitimately bad, and there are reasons for something to be considered bad. But just because you don't gel with something doesn't mean it's bad. You know, and maybe that's more the point that I'm trying to make here. It's like something doesn't have to, like, you don't have to like something for it to be good. Things can be good even if you don't like them. Marvel movies are reboots. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Marvel is a good example. I'm pretty over superheroes right now. That's me personally. I am pretty much done with superhero movies. You know, I'll watch them from time to time to keep up and understand kind of, you know, where the story's going, and occasionally I get in the mood, but this whole 2 shows and 3 movies a year thing, I can't keep up with it. I'm not going to sit here and act like Marvel movies are bad. They're the top grossing movies in the world consistently. Clearly they're doing something right. Clearly they are good functional movies. So I don't know. Say it's not for, yeah, like, and that's the take to have. But like the thing that still kind of comes to decently written, you know, what's the criteria for decently written, right? If there are grammatical errors and spelling errors in it, then yes, it's poorly written. Is it because it's from like a first person point of view and you don't like that? Does that mean it's poorly written? You know, like, that's the hard part. And that's why I think just with art, it's just like, it's really hard to objectively say that something is bad versus I don't like it. Listen to audiobooks and Hans Lantern, it might just be also part of the way your brain works. Like, and I don't mean that as like a dig or something like that. Like, they're like, you know, the people that can't actually picture things in their head, they can't hold images in their head. Like, reading's really hard for them because they can't actually, like, their brain is like incapable. It's not like, oh, you're broken thing. That's just like how you operate. So, you know, I don't know. I think that's fine. Top grossing movies. Yeah. So, like, I guess I would agree that, like, the last Star Wars movies were objectively worse than any of the Star Wars movies made previously. There's still fun stuff to take from them. Like, I would still say they're fun sci-fi romps to sit there and watch if you don't care about the story. Anything that is coherent, decent, fair enough. You know, that's fair. That's a fair take. Audiobooks, info and better in his car a lot. Yeah, exactly. Some people just like interpret things different. Audiobooks are tough for me because my mind wanders. When I'm reading, I'm focused on it. When I'm listening to it, it's like, you know, and I like focus on other things. So, like, I do podcasts for background, but I don't really listen to audiobooks. So it's like, you know, different people have different ways of retaining information and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, I didn't mean to turn it into a big whole, like, half hour rant or anything like that. I just, you know, like I say, it just, like, it feels so dismissive to me to say that, you know, everything like this is bad nowadays, or they're not making good stuff anymore. And it's like, I don't think that's a fair take. I don't think that's a fair take, because I think there is a lot of really good stuff being made all the time. And you just gotta know when to, you know, you gotta be willing to filter through and find the good stuff, and also recognize that there's a difference between bad and I don't like. you know, and I think that a lot of people are bad at making that distinction. And like I say, I think the reason too I get defensive about that too is like, I think it's really easy to like upset someone or hurt someone's feelings because like, I don't like Twilight. I have arguments about why I would say that Twilight is not an expertly written book. But the fact is, I'm not the target audience for it, and I don't want to hurt the feelings of someone who's just like, I read them and I had fun reading them. It's like, fuck it, man. If that's what does it for you, then just enjoy it. Like, Jesus Christ. What a way to live life, getting pissed off because someone likes, you know, rap as opposed to jazz. You know, it's like, boy oh boy. Like, no wonder people have high blood pressure all the time. Like, if we're looking for reasons that small to be pissed off at each other, my God. I mean, there are much bigger issues that we're all pissed off about. We don't need to add things to it. It's just so saturated. You through a lot if you're not tied to a single genre. I mean, yeah, like and I guess I'll just make sure my point is super clear. I don't disagree with you. I just don't think that's a new issue. I think that it has always been true that there is a lot of stuff, because whether it was back in 1900 or nowadays, everyone wants, like, there are constantly people that want to produce things to be famous, to be known, to be recognized. That's always the truth. It is always the truth that in the moment you will have to sift through things that are good and not good. Like, you will have to sift through that. That has always been true. It's easy to think that that was less true in the past, but it's because the sifting has already been done. How many bands were formed in 1962 that we have never and will never hear about? Probably millions of them, right? Because the sifting has already been done. Excuse me. I mean, yeah, the internet kind of makes it easier to access, but I think the internet actually makes it easier to filter those things because you can search for keywords and stuff like that. I think in the past it was probably harder to filter through it because you had to sit through the radio and hope to God that the radio DJ had a good stack of tapes that he was working through. You know, I think if anything, modern day makes it a bit easier to filter through and find the good stuff. If you're not filtering properly, then yeah, you'll be inundated with crap, but you know, that's on you for not using Google, right? So I don't know. I think maybe that's where the disagreement comes from, because I don't think there's a new problem with finding good stuff nowadays. I think there's just, you know, different tools to find that good stuff. Anywho, we have socks of freedom of movement. Maybe I should actually make this stream about D&D, which I have not done for like the past half hour. No, it's awesome. I actually really like these types of discussions. This is why I like streaming. I love having spirited discussions about these types of things. I really like having these discussions. If I didn't want to have these discussions, I wouldn't stream. I would just quietly write alone. So no, I appreciate it. I appreciate the conversation. I also appreciate that it didn't result to trolling and doxing and stuff like that. Like, it's like, you know, it's like people can disagree without, you know, trying to ruin each other's lives or being a-holes to each other. I think it's a valuable thing for people to practice. Disagreeing complacently, right? Disagreeing peacefully. So if this item is good, I think what I want to do for this one is the footwear. Oops, the footwear. No, the footwear. Is particularly nimble when the spell is active. Wearer gains an extra 10 feet of movement while the spell is active. So not only can you avoid getting trapped and everything like that, but it like lets you move even further. So now the evil one, here's what I'm thinking immediately for this one. Let's see here. Could be differing opinions and viewpoints. You know, you wouldn't think that was allowed based on how people behave nowadays, but yeah. What do you know? Yeah, I love D&D exactly because it makes me like, especially as the DM who has to play like 17 different characters a night, you know, it's like, boy oh boy, it really forces me to see things from other perspectives. No, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Let's see here. Okay, if it's evil. So I always, again, the evil is always like it does something negative to opponents, and what my first thought is here is um the footwear creates an aura around the wearer. Within 10 feet of the wearer becomes difficult terrain for hostile creatures. So it's like if you want to get in to melee range of someone wearing these, like it has to be, you have to go through difficult terrain for like the last 10 feet. I think that would be a really cool one. I actually really like the idea of shoes that are able to kind of do that. Talks in the third person. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if that's what works for you to do it. Yeah, like I feel like people the only thing that bothers me is when people do first person without a voice. It's like either do a character voice or talk in the third person. Because if you just talk in the first person in your voice, especially like as the DM, if I'm playing an evil character and I don't make sure there's a distinction between the DM as a human and the DM as the character that I'm playing, like I don't want my players to misunderstand, and either it can go both ways, for them to think that I'm just saying something that's like actually happening in the game, or vice versa, me just saying something and them thinking it's happening in the game when it's not, right? I like one or the other. It's like pick one and stick with it. Either third person or use a character voice, or both. Screw it. Like maybe you're just gonna Yoda that shit. Like I don't know, whatever works for you. Character voice in the third person, bird person, third person, bird person. I did a or a Rick and Morty themed in person mega dungeon, the box set. We ran that this past weekend. Actually, we had an in person session. It was great fun. It was great fun. We had more people than the box set came with characters, so we created characters for Crumbobulus Michael, Bird Person, Squanchy, and there was one other one that we made. Oh yeah, we made Mr. Poopy Butthole. Those were the three that we created. I almost wanted to make Gearhead as a bard, but we didn't need them, and he was not voted as one of the preferred created characters. I was outvoted on that one. It was disappointing. It was disappointing. Oh boy. All right, let's see here. If it's lawful. Okay, so if it's lawful, it's always like you narrow the focus but make it more powerful. So let me see here. It can either reduce target speed or cause the target to be paralyzed or restrained. Then word is spoken while wearing the mute item. Movement is unaffected by difficult terrain. Evil note. You want a drawback on the... No. So if it's sentient, so the way I do it is if it's sentient, it's an item that is like mindfully working in cahoots with the owner, right? So like an evil sentient item doesn't want to hurt its owner. And so the way it does that is by harming other people, right? It's basically the item is still, it has an extra benefit, but it's a dickhead about it, is the way I like to, is the way I think about it, right? So it's like, if it's a good sentient item, it will do something extra good for the wearer. If it's an evil sentient item, it will do something bad against enemies of the wearer, is the way I do it. And then if it's lawful, it's more focused, and it's like it's more focused in what it does, and it adds a little bit of potency. And if it's chaotic, it has a wider range of effect, but it's a little less powerful, is usually what I like to try and target with those. Although those are pretty loose benefits. But it's like the idea is like I kind of use sentience as the conceptual opposite to the conceptual opposite to being cursed, is kind of how I like to do it. So if it's lawful, I'm thinking what we can do for this one is, well, let's see here. So like narrowing the effect, my first thought is like, if you make it so it's, I can also spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape non-magical restraints such as manacles, a creature that has grappled. Finally, being underwater imposes no penalties. I'm wondering if it's like we can make it so that the first like something like the first direction that the wearer tries to move, they have like double movement speed. So it's just like that one narrow focus, and it can like, the idea being that it can really give you a jump start in moving in a specific direction, but after that, like, that effect wears off and it's just the standard item or something like that. That's kind of what my thought is. I kind of like that. The first direction that the wearer moves, break magical effect but ends the effect. That's not a bad idea too. Let's see here. Although that's kind of already covered. Well, no, I guess not, because it's non-magical. Yeah, you're right, you're right. Okay, no, I like that better. I like that better. That's a good call. That's a good call. Can break a magical restraint upon the wearer, but the spell deactivates as soon as the restraint is broken. So it's almost like the item, yeah, it's like the item, no, I think that's really good. I think that's really good. That's exactly the kind of thing I was going for. That's really perfect. But yeah, so it's like it sacrifices its own magical, you know, prowess, its own magic, in order to cancel out that other magic. And so for the chaotic, what my thought is here, is can remove a source of difficult terrain, but the spell deactivates as soon as it does so, right? So it's like it broadens the impact a little bit to like the surrounding area. So it's like if you're using it because you're entangled or something like that, right? You know, I guess that would count as a magical thing, but suppose there's like, you know, difficult terrain around, like if the ground is really icy, like you can get rid of the ice, you know, and it will make sure that like the ground is not difficult terrain anymore. But it sacrifices the spell to do so. I think that one's a bit easier to focus on. I think that works. I think that's a good like sort of conceptual analog to the lawful one. I think it works. Exactly. All right, so now we got to think about if this is cursed. So my thought is do something where it like really gives someone just like this insane boost on extra aura, maybe. Yeah, you could do something like that. My other thought is that like the item gives someone the ability to move freely, like they can climb, they can like walk up walls or on ceilings, right? Like they can, like it gives them such freedom of movement that they can ignore gravity. But the side effect is like there are only so many steps that you can take, and then it burns out, and so you're going to fall, right? So it's not even just the duration. It's like you have to think about how many steps you can take, is what my thought is. And then my thought is if it like what it takes to remove that, like the things that you're wearing, if you try to take them off, then they will like fuse themselves to your feet and start walking you in a random direction. And the only way to stop it is to stop trying to remove the item. So it's a little more harmless than maybe the previous one. But I think that's amusing, and I like the concept of it. So it's like the extra benefit will be really offers true freedom of movement. Necessarily random, so they never know. I like that. I like that. Okay, here's what my idea is. Here's what my idea is. Kick your hands away. That's right. They just start tap dancing and stomping on the fingers. Okay, really offers true freedom of movement. Wearer can walk up walls and on ceilings with the shoes on and active. Problematic side effect. Only lasts for certain number of steps of walking, not on the ground. DM rolls 1d20. That roll multiplied by 5 is the number of feet of not ground movement allowed. When the number is exhausted, the wearer immediately falls to the ground. Have them blind roll. Oh yeah, that'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. Oh man, this is good. I actually really like this. It's much more wacky and whimsical, but I think it works. What it takes to remove must be removed magically. If wearer tries to remove the item, they force the wearer to start walking in a random direction and only stop when the wearer stops trying to take them off. Boom, there we go. There we go. I like that. I really like that, actually. I like, as harmless as it is, I really like that. I think that's really amusing. Like, that's a much more like goofy approach to it, but I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect. Good job, team. Good job, team. I really like that. I really want Socks of Escape now. I really want Cursed Socks of Escape. I just think that sounds funny. Sounds really amusing. Oh, it's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. I'm going to take another quick bathroom break. I also noticed that I have to take care of something really quickly for work, so the break might be a couple minutes longer. But I'll leave you guys here, just chilling with the music and stuff. I'm not even going to do an away screen because it shouldn't take too long. But I got to go respond to an email real quick. So I'm going to run to the bathroom, respond to the email, and then when I come back, we're going to use that as a good break point to go ahead and start working on the campaign. So I will be back very shortly. I appreciate your patience ahead of time. Yeah, I will see you very soon. Heading back to work. I understand completely. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Glad you had a good time. All right, I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Alrighty, I am back. I appreciate your patience. Hopefully that's the last time they will be today. Especially considering that all that's happening is a coworker who was unprepared for what they have to work on today needed me to cover some slack for them. Just pro tip: if you do a job, if you do a job and have to go out in the field, it's best to just be prepared to go out in the field rather than having to constantly message and email and call your coworkers and have them look up information you should know ahead of time before you go out in the field. Just because I got other things I got going on with my life. It's not my job to do your job for you. Gold darn it. Anywho, let's work on our campaign a little bit here. Let me bring us over into our atlas here. So we're working on this church that we've been doing, this temple of sorts. We spent some time last time kind of conceptualizing what exactly this temple was going to like, what the purpose of it was, because it's an abandoned temple these days. But I don't like that to just be generic temple, and that's what I was noticing it kind of becoming. Hi. Want to come up? Kitty? Hey. Come here. Do you want to come up? Come on up. Come on. No, focus. Come on up. Come on. You can do it. Come on, my cat's here. Come on. Come here. I know, you want to so bad, I can see. Come here. There you go. There's the kitty. Let me see if we can. There she is. Say hi. I know. Yeah, it's a good girl. You gonna come and help me write a little bit? A good little baby. She's very... She used to spend a lot more time on my lap while I was streaming, but lately she's been disinterested in that. Yeah, she's a little calico. She's only got one eye. My little Leela, as we call her. Yeah, she used to spend a lot more time on my lap, but then we got her a new cat tree, and now she likes to, like, sleep on the cat tree because it's right next to my desk. But now she's gonna be on my lap now. She's all purring and happy. She's a good little baby. I mean, she's a butthole, but she's a good little baby too. I'm gonna be my editor. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Goofy little cat. Anywho, before I was so rudely interrupted by this cat, by this fuzzy ball of sass. So we're working on this temple, as part of our campaign that we're doing. And the reason that it's there and that our players need to go to it is because they need to find some sort of like holy items that can be used by a wizard in town to create a teleportation circle for them. And so, of course, Automod, of course, buttholes is a lot. I swear to God, I put butthole. Oh no, it's because we put butthole on the added term list, but we haven't done plural of it. Yeah, all cats are buttholes. That's what makes them wonderful. They have just enough sass to make them all little dickheads. They're wonderful for it. But yeah, so we had this temple, but I was kind of like frustrated with myself for not really having conceptualized what this temple was, because like when I approach the writing, I approach it from a world building standpoint first, right? That's what gives the world meaning to me and what keeps me interested in doing it. And when I get too bogged down in just the, create a game mentality of it, I find myself kind of losing touch with what I'm creating, and I just kind of stop caring about what I'm creating, and I could feel myself sort of slipping into that. So I'm trying to like really sort of on stream, both on stream and when I'm working on projects off stream, I'm trying to really focus on the world building aspect of it, and remembering that the rules, the gameplay kind of comes secondary as a person who's creating a campaign, right? Because it's like the rules can generally be handled, like when you've been DMing as long as I have, the rules can sort of be handled on the fly as you go, right? That's not to say that you always want everything to just be fly by the seat of your pants, but it's like, if I forgot to put down exactly what the check would be to, pick a lock or something like that, like, you can just kind of ballpark that, and it's really not a big deal. You can do that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's much more meaningful to me to be able to create a world. Yeah. Like, and that's where like, like you say, having to understand what happens when players do or don't do things in the world. That's where like the world building side of it comes from for me. Understanding and having the proper creative understanding of what my world is, that I can just sort of know exactly what if they do knock down one of the walls of the temple? Is it structurally sound enough to withstand something like that? Are they going to open up to a secret compartment? Like what are the ramifications of that kind of thing? And that's, to me, more interesting than just putting down, a prescribed set of rules that follow just the basic functions. Like if they try to pick the lock, they will do this. Yeah, exactly. You have to just sort of like understand what happens to the world from a world building standpoint. And besides, like I say, I talked about this a lot on Monday when I was streaming. Different people have different reasons for writing. Different people have different reasons for writing D&D. If you write it because of a fascination of the mechanical aspects of the rules, then, tap into that and understand that that's what the passion is for you. For me, I started as a world builder long before I got into D&D. That's just how it went for me. I was fascinated with the concept of creating a world on paper that you could read the words and suddenly like feel yourself transferred into another world, right? Like the game Myst was a huge inspiration to me, because like it literally was a book that you went into, and I thought that was so fascinating. So I'm trying to make sure I remember to approach my writing from that standpoint, and that's one of the things that I really want to focus on with this temple, is remembering to understand what this temple is, not just as a mechanic of what my players are trying to do, but as a created thing that exists within this larger world that I've created, right? So we kind of got some details, and I think it was a good starting point. So I'm going to reread kind of what we worked last time and use that as a springboard to pick back up where we left off here. Right, so it's like, so we put down just some basic stuff. This temple was built to worship Dunatus, a god of mountains and terrain. Within the temple, it was often said that the city of Minadala itself was built where a mountain once stood. It was said that Dunatus wanted a new place for his worshippers to live close to his home in the mountains. So he flattened one of the fringe mountains so that they may build the city. Most view this as more of a metaphor than a literal story, but either way, it gave worshippers comfort to think of their deity living so close to their home. Generally, the worshippers within this group were all of a well-grounded mindset. Get it? Well-grounded, like earth and terrain. Frequently, worshippers would choose to be baptized in a basin kept at the church, said to be filled with water that was melted snow from the cap of the mountain that was flattened, kept pure and ice-cold by Dunatus' divine power itself. In reality, it was always kept so by holy magic, but the basin frequently had to be refilled as the soaked clothes of those being baptized would slowly lower the water level. They would regularly partake in a form of confession in which they would view the path to redemption from their wrongdoings as mountains that could be made flatter by the grace of Dunatus, should they properly repent and earn his assistance. One of the most important rituals was the coming-of-age ritual, in which each individual was tasked with climbing one of the nearby mountains. Once at the peak, they would pick a stone and carry it back down as a symbol of them flattening their own mountains. Many on the outside looking in would view such rituals as perhaps a little cult-like, but what religion doesn't look that way from the outside. The important part is that the people were happy, and Donatus wasn't that interested in the people condemning one another for arbitrary things, so they rarely butted heads with other people within the city. Bada bing, bada boom. I like it. A little touch of sarcasm in there, but hey, you know what? We can do whatever we want with these things, right? Years ago, from series of books, skill to write in a readable form. I mean, outline to expand on and explore that more fully. Yeah, that's awesome. You know, it's like everyone. I feel like a lot of people when they're trying to start writing look too much for like a fill in the blank type of situation. It's like, no, man, just write down what you know and what you feel and what you can write down, and then build from there. Right? That's the way to do it. And that's kind of what my world was. Like my first few ideas that I wrote down as a teenager in high schooler, a teenager in high school, that, you know, here we are nowadays, here we are today. It's been like 15 years and I'm still working and building that same world. But yeah, I like this temple. I think this works. And I remember we kind of did some edits to some of these rooms as needed, to make it all kind of copacetic with what we had already written down. I'm going to really quickly pull up our map of this thing. I think this is the one that we're working on. Should just retitle all of these so that they actually make sense. There we go. Yeah, see? So here's our map that we're generally working on. We've already got a lot of these rooms laid out. But there are some of them that aren't quite there yet. And this temple is meant to be visited twice. And each time there's going to be a little different subset of the rooms that are available and accessible to the players. Is sort of what I'm going for here. So, sorry, juggling too many windows at once. So I think we've got all the way through that bottom floor kind of thought out, don't we? Yeah. So rooms 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are all going to be locked, and I mean, not exactly inaccessible. Players can still kind of get to them. If they really want to like brute force their way through with lockpicks or smashing down doors, that's not, you know, wrong for them to want to do that. But when they visit later, these rooms are going to be more accessible and more usable, because what we're going to do is hold up. Rid of that one. The blank one open. So it's going to be basically all of these rooms, these two, and then these three that are all locked and closed off. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a storm roll through. It's going to tear down this wall. But it'll tear down this back wall. That will make it so that even though these doors are all locked, they can kind of climb the rubble to get to these rooms, which then are all connected to one another. And that'll make those accessible. So How easy is Dungeon Draft to learn and use, in my opinion? Looking for something I can use paired with yeah, I have had zero issues using Dungeon Draft. I think it is, I mean, like, learning some of the quick key actions and stuff like that, the macros, can take a bit of time to memorize those, but in terms of just using it, very user-friendly. Very, very much recommend it. Very, very functional with virtual tabletops. I definitely highly recommend it. I think it is a very worthwhile program. I don't think it's the only functional program. I think there's a few of them that work just fine. But this is the one that I've kind of landed on and I really like using. So I definitely recommend it. There are a lot of asset packs that you can purchase that I haven't purchased. So I just use the limited default packages that come with it. But there are a lot of them that you can use. And people have made a lot of interesting ones for different settings beyond D&D. Like there's a lot of sci-fi type stuff that you can find, more contemporary type stuff too. So you can find a lot of good resources. Roll20. Yeah, Roll20 was good back in the day when it was kind of the primary option. But a lot of other options have kind of moved beyond what Roll20 is capable of. So Roll20 is pretty limited nowadays, or at least that's how it feels to most people. Yeah, no, Dungeon Draft is very good, and I use Foundry virtual tabletop, and Dungeon Draft makes maps and it configures them in a format that makes them usable within Foundry, as in like doors can be opened and closed within Foundry. Lights, like dynamic lighting and all that stuff exists. So it's really functional. It's really functional. I very much like it. Hey, Soviet Psycho, I've been doing all right. How about yourself? Glad to see you here. It has been a minute. It's definitely been a minute. But yeah, no, I think it's a great program. But yeah, so looking at our map, so I am gonna fill these rooms out, but I'm going to do that. Like, there's kind of it's kind of like a back and forth we need to do between this first visit and the second visit to get it all balanced, because I want them all to be be copacetic with each other. Because like I say, these rooms are still technically accessible. They're just locked and not easy to access for players first time through. I'm sorry to hear you going through that. Wish the best for you. Hopefully it clears up soon enough for you. Okay, so yeah, that's good. Kitty. Why that can't be comfortable. Cat is, yeah, I know. You're smushing yourself under the desk, you goofball. Cat is in my lap and she has decided to wedge herself between my lap and the desktop, which gives her about 2 inches of clearance to try and lay down. Well, what a goofy kitty. All right, so yeah, these rooms, I think, yeah, I'm gonna describe these room. Fits, I sits, no doubt. Cats are like a non-Newtonian liquid. Solid when it serves them best, liquid when that serves them best. Absolutely adorable. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save descriptions of these rooms for the second iteration. I don't want to put them in the notes just because I want the focus to be on these being locked. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a little bullet point here. Locked. And we'll say see corresponding room description below. We'll do that. Because the other thing about it too is if I decide I don't want to do that, if I decide I do want it to be in one big complete package, then all I need to do is just like cut and paste what you know, what I'm gonna write down below. So you know, it doesn't really matter. And then one more. Two. Oh, perfect. Okay, so we'll leave those there. I don't know. I'm already thinking I might change my mind and put the full descriptions there, but we can write those descriptions out down here in the next section when the time comes. And in the meantime, leave that as it is. At least 2 of them will have to have different descriptions, right? As if it's that this wall gets knocked out. Describing it the first time they visit, if they bust down the door and go through a complete building, is going to look different than if they come back later after the storm that knocks out the wall, right? We're going to describe it as having a wall missing. That's a pretty important detail that you don't want to just necessarily gloss over, especially if that detail is the one that makes it easier for them to enter the... So... yeah, so I feel like I feel like actually I'll probably need to re-describe them, but I think we can describe everything below first, when we understand exactly what the functionality of each of these rooms is going to be, and then we can, you know, go from there. So I think that'll work. And if not, then we'll just do it differently. I don't know, whatever. All right, room 9, a medium battle here, so... already determined that there will be a battle. There will be monsters to slay. Medium battle. And the medium battles on this in particular visit are worth about 125 experience points. Okay, so 100, 1350 if we did 3 of those. Hold on, did we already do a medium battle? Yeah, we did. We already did do the 3 constrictor snakes. Let's see here. We could do like a giant snap-eating turtle, which we've skinned as a giant Gila monster, right? Because I've already kind of predetermined that in this area, like the church, at least the first time, is going to just be infested with a bunch of giant lizards and stuff. This is a kind of a simple dungeon the way we're describing, or the way I'm building it, but I'm doing that as like, I'm kind of doing that intentionally as an olive branch to my players, because the section of the campaign before this one and then the section that we'll work on after this one are both very dark, very horror monster movie inspired, with lots of horrible creatures doing horrible evil things. So I wanted to give them just sort of like a light-hearted chapter that's really just, hey, here's a bunch of big wild animals that you guys can try and kill or avoid, whatever you want to do while you're going through and just going on a bit of a treasure hunt in the city, right? Just something that's a bit simpler and easier to digest for a little bit, since it's going to be sandwiched by some very extreme sections here. So 1200. Oh, excuse me. We could do 2 of these, 2 of the giant constrictors, and then 3 of the Jakuli. Maybe it's a Yakuli. Soft J. Kitty. Oh my gosh, this cat is so precious. Absolutely melts my heart all the time. Okay, yeah, let's do that one. I like that. I like that blend here. 3 of these bad boys here will be worth 1200 experience points total. So we're gonna do 3 of the Yakuli and then 2 of the, what were they? Giant constrictor. Yeah. That. And fix that. Okay, so we know what creatures are gonna be here, and this is the hallway, right? Yes. Okay, so now we just gotta do a little description. I always like I always say, I put a description that can be read aloud to describe the room. Usually I don't like just reading aloud to my players, but some nights, you know, some nights when you're running a session, your brain just isn't there. So I always like to take the time to write out a description that I can just like read to my players. So that way, if I'm having one of those nights, I can still at least give them a descriptive experience, even if it's not as organic as me just kind of ad-libbing it. Makes it easier. And the number of times that, you know, present me has thanked past me for doing that, innumerable. It's one of the best things I've started doing with my writing. So what I'm gonna do here, I am gonna put in a DM note here to start, because we're starting with our Jakuli. Stricter snakes are obvious from the get-go. Hi. What you looking at? Why are you staring at me? Why are you just staring at me and purring, you little goofball? Yes, exactly. It can be a really good way to stop yourself from getting repetitive and saying the same things over and over again. And that's also one of the reasons why I like to randomly assign what types of dangers and rewards are going to be in a lot of rooms. So that way it's not me just constantly being like, yep, the third room of the dungeon always has a trap in it, right? It's like, it's so easy to fall into your patterns because it's so hard to notice your own pattern. So that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And it's one that really is so true for me. You know, you get your own tropes. You establish your own patterns. And it, you know, and that can be good in some ways, but in other ways it can really lead to just some boring descriptions and stuff. Which, you know, my players deserve better than that. They definitely deserve better than that. Kitty, you are just being so sweet. Look, can I just say, I'm sitting here writing some D&D, chatting with cool people about writing D&D. I got a cat purring on my lap. Like, it's hard for me to imagine life being much better right now. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm in a place where I'm feeling pretty grateful about things. Like, this is pretty rad. This is a pretty rad moment. So thank you for being part of it. Anyway, I'll stop groveling. Just, you know, what a life. You know what I mean? What a life. Constrictor snakes are obvious from the get-go, but the Coolie are hidden among the rafters. Yeah, but the Chukuli are hidden among the rafters. If players want to, let's see here. We'll say if players want to notice the Chukuli before they enter combat. DC 14 to notice. Make it kind of tough to notice this. Running a trio of adult objects. I'm getting repetitive with combat descriptions. Yeah, exactly. Combat descriptions can be really hard too, especially if you have a combat that's going on and on, is just kind of turned into a war of attrition of like everyone has swords and just trying to hit each other. Like, that can be really hard to add variation to your descriptions. I know that feeling. That is a big struggle, no doubt. A lot of times if I do that, what I'll do is I'll just sort of describe, like, I'll explain the mechanics. I'll be like, yep, you hit, roll your damage. Okay, you do that much damage, the thing's looking rough. And like, I'll start, if I notice myself doing that, I'll be like, tell me how you hit it. And I'll have like the players start describing their hits. You know, and I'll have them start describing their angle of things. And that can help mix things up a little bit. You know, and I'll even sometimes be like, yeah, it hits you. How do you respond? And I'll let them describe their character's reaction to getting hit to sort of mix it up a little bit. I find that can be a decent way. Now, it depends on how good your players are at like yes-anding a situation. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain amount of improv skill that kind of comes with that. You know, being able to bounce off each other. But if you have a good rapport with your group, that can be a really good way to mix it up if you feel yourself struggling to add variation to how you describe things. So I don't know if that tip helps you. That tip helps you. Put it in the back pocket. Save it for a rainy day. A couple of yours are really good at it. Yeah, that's for me too. I've got a couple that are really good at picking up the slack. And like, I play with a group of friends, so everyone's very good at drawing those who it doesn't come naturally for. Well, like, we're all really good at drawing them into the action as well, and that can be a really helpful component to it all. Which is why I always recommend, if you can, play with friends before you play with strangers, because it's always more fun playing with friends. You know, the strangers might become your friends, but if you already have a group that you have a good rapport with, just play with them. It's awesome. Okay, so that's good right there. into this hallway, you see that you are in what appears to be an attic that has been remodeled to be a functional space. That is to say, so like in my world, if you're not familiar, my world is like a post-apocalyptic one. In D&D, there was an event called the Unhinging, in which most of the world was rendered uninhabitable. And pretty much all of my campaigns that I run take place out in what's called the wilds, right? The parts of the world that were uninhabitable. It's been a couple thousand years since that happened, and people are starting to venture out and sort of re-explore and reclaim those lost parts of the world, right? And so most of the places my players visit have been abandoned for a certain number of years, right? Some of them longer than others. Some of them have actually been repopulated since, and things like that. So there's always different things that happen about it. But generally speaking, anything that I'm describing to my players gets described as being a very ancient version of whatever it is. So that's what we'll say. We'll say, walking into this hallway, you see that you are in what appears to be an attic, that has been remodeled to a functional space. That is to say, a few thousand years ago, this was done. Today, we'll say today the ceiling has many holes through which exterior light can shine through. Oops, wrong. Not even wrong, which just non-existent. Excuse me, I apologize. Still recovering from that cold and largely feel really good. And my throat is largely doing fine, but after talking for a couple hours, I'm starting to get the occasional little tickle going on right down in there. We'll see. I'm hoping that I can finish the stream strong. Just gotta remember to use my smooth radio voice. Where we stay quiet and low, letting the low tones carry my way through the conversation. You're listening to WXZ 902.0, the jazz station, where we will put you to sleep before we even give you anything fun to listen to. Even I do my own ad read. This radio broadcast was brought to you by your local bakery. They couldn't afford anything more than a radio advertisement, which is why I'm telling you about their donuts and croissants. Try them out today. You guys think? I think I'd make a pretty good radio jockey. I think I could do it. It'd be perfect too. I'd be putting people to sleep while they're driving to work. Primo. Yeah, give me the 7:30 a.m. time slot, so when everyone's in the middle of rush hour, I'll just soothe them to sleep. Even better, give me the radio slot right at like the first couple hours of work, so that way like everyone who shows up, they're like, oh, this like smooth jazz radio, like this is work safe and work friendly. We can just listen to that, and then they all fall asleep at the desk. Branching out to ASMR. No, if I was doing ASMR, I would like, this is smooth jazz radio. ASMR is, I'm going to whisper at you, and I'm going to pretend like this is pleasant for everyone. And I'm not even going to do anything that takes particular skill. I'm just going to talk and hope that you find this tingle-inducing. And then put a bunch of ad reads on top of it, so that way I can make money for having whispered for 10 minutes. That's ASMR right there. Maybe I'll occasionally do something weird. Oh, wait, here we go. I'm going to sit here with a pair of scissors and pretend like I'm giving you a haircut, even though the fundamental feelings of a haircut, which is your hair's getting cut off, isn't happening to you. I'm also going to get these scissors dangerously close to my hair or my own face, so that while I'm whispering, I'm at risk of cutting off a piece of my own nose, at which point I'll begin screaming and will ruin the ASMR There you go. You like that? That's my new ASMR career. Actually, you know what? That does seem way easier and more profitable. So, whoops, see ya, kitty. Oh, she got excited. There's a squirrel outside. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that just seems way easier than trying to be creative and come up with things. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave you guys all. It's been real, but I'm gonna go be an ASMR star now. So, you know, it's ending forever. I'll put a little thing underneath that says forever, and that's the end of it. That's all done. All done. All done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. That doesn't sound like fun. I don't want to do that. Oh, ASMR. I don't know. I don't want to rag on it too hard because some people really enjoy that stuff. Get the Sam Riegel call. Oh, golly. I don't know. Like, some people that really does it for them. It's never done anything for me. I've tried ASMRs, but it mostly is just kind of creepy to me. I'm always like, God, it's like too intimate to feel like someone's whispering into my ear. Like, that's a very intimate thing to me, to have someone like actively whispering things in my ear. So when it's not a person who is with me who I would want to do that with, like, it just creeps me out. I don't know. Everyone's got their thing. But yeah, it doesn't speak to me. It doesn't speak to me, the ASMR scene. Oh, I'm aware of Critical Role. I'm aware. I vaguely remember the ASMR thing, but I don't remember all of the details of it. Oh, golly. Sam Riegel, though, you don't really need to add many descriptions to know that things are gonna go way off the chain in no time at all when he's involved. That's his calling card. His calling card is mild insanity. Anywho. Alright, so today the ceiling has many holes through which exterior light can shine through. This light, though not extensive, just a bit. Yeah, you know what? I would never be able to match Sam Riegel energy, right? And like, I can imagine there having been a time in my life when I would have tried to, namely when I was in middle school and very awkward. But yeah, like, that man's he operates on a different level than I do. And that's saying something, because I'm someone who, like, I do kickboxing. So, like, I gotta be able to get the intensity up there, but it's just a very different type of energy. And, like, the fact is, I get that energy up for a couple hours a day when I'm doing my training. And then otherwise, I'm like where I'm at right now is about as up there as I get. And it's just some people just live. Some people are just the physical manifestation, the living sentient manifestation of a pot of coffee. Pure no F's given attitude. So, like, I would argue that I still have a no fucks given attitude, but mine manifests in, like, the ways of, I am someone who once a week I paint my toenails, despite being a kickboxer. I paint my toenails, and I absolutely, like, am totally comfortable saying that, and saying that I do spa days with baths and stuff. You know, it's like, there's different levels of it, right? And I think everyone should get to that point, because I think the truest no fuck given attitude is the one in which you do what makes you happy all the time. And as long as what makes you happy doesn't inhibit or damage other people, then go for it. Like, if it makes you happy to carve up babies, then no, don't do what makes you happy. That's wrong, and that's bad, right? But if what makes you happy is to take Crayola markers and draw all over the walls of your own apartment, then do that. Hey, John, we're just discussing what are appropriate ways to live your own truth. And I was just offering an example of how, like, if what you love to do doesn't hurt other people, you should do what you love to do. So, you know, if what you love to do is dicing up babies, then don't do that. That's not appropriate. That's not okay. You shouldn't like to do that, but if you do like doing that, don't do it. It's rude. It's generally rude and frowned upon to do such things. Captain Human Butcher. But that's what you walked into. We're discussing. Yeah, it stems from a discussion of everyone should have a certain degree of no fucks given to have. I really hope you don't have questions, John. I think it's pretty clear cut. If you like chopping up small children, don't do it. There's no questions. There's no questions involved. I don't think I could be any clearer. I don't think I could be any clearer about that one. If what you love to do is damaging to others, don't do it. It's a very, very clear cut, very cut and dry. Okay, so if your question is, but wait, I like doing that, it's still a very obvious answer. Don't. Just, that's it. That's it. Just don't. Excuse me. My apologies. Sorry. I got a little impassioned there. Just the point is, like, it's just like, would you have me not be impassioned about telling people don't chop up babies? Make up for the day job. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Don't pick up the pieces, but don't pick up the pieces of the babies because they shouldn't be chopped up in the first place, right? Oh lordy, my God. Anyway, D&D. We're making a yeah, preach it, brother. Oh, you're speaking the truth. Don't chop up the babies. Don't do it. Speaking the truth. Speaking the truth. No, I would hope that would be everyone's truth. I don't chop up babies. And don't start making jokes about me entering an FBI watch list because I think that's twisted. I'm talking about how it's a terrible thing to chop up babies. And I think that is one of the most rational statements a person can make. I certainly will. I certainly will. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm glad you had a good time today. We'll see you. We'll see you around. Anywho, D&D. We're continuing to work on our temple. This light, though not extensive, is enough for you to see 2 giant snakes coiled up in the hallway. They see you, you see them, and everyone pulls a freeze frame. Freeze frame! Ba, 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 la, da, 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 da. Am I gonna get copyright struck for that? That was pretty on the nose. I'm not gonna toot my own horn here, but I sang that pretty good. Are the copyright police gonna show up? Hope not. Awkward. Empty. I mean, this is pretty obvious why it would be empty. It's a hallway. In fact, I'm gonna say that. It's a hallway. Isn't really anything cool here. There, handled. Excuse me. Oh man, cold is mostly better, but I still get the little tickle, in the throat occasionally, and like my sinuses are doing what they always do post cold, which is they're like, hey man, we had a cold, and so we're just gonna us sinuses, we're just gonna stuff up for the next week. We're just gonna, there's no snot or mucus or anything. We're just gonna close your airways. We're just gonna close up, and we're just gonna chill out right there, just nice and close. So that way you sound like a Muppet for a week, even though you're largely healthy, and even though actually we were wide open and helping you breathe while you were sick. Now that you're not sick anymore, we're gonna make you sound sick, so that way everyone around you panics and thinks that you're gonna give them COVID. Okay? Okay, perfect. Glad we had that discussion, sinuses. Glad we're on the same page. My whole life it's been like that. Drives me insane. Absolutely drives me insane. And when I say drives me insane, I mean it's mildly irritating, and I wish I didn't do that. It's the same thing as driving me insane. Anyway, I do actually need to add one more little bit here because we've got the other creatures. If players haven't noticed them, the Jakuli will enter combat on the second round. Boom, there we go. That's because they're kind of hiding up there. Jakuli. Perfect. Okay, I actually think that's a really good room. I think that's really good. I like it. This one, lucky part about this one. So like I say, I'm really trying to bring my focus back into like world building first, mechanics second. Not because mechanics aren't important, but because world building is what really makes my worlds, right? Like there are some people who write good games based on focusing on the game first, and that's great, and I love to play their games because if that's what they do, then they're going to do that well. But for me, that's not my approach. That's not my thing, you dig? So I'm trying to like really focus on that. The good news is we're describing a hallway in an attic, so like there's not, you know, we luckily aren't gonna be shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't add a ton of detail to that, because it's a hallway. Doors locked. Anything cool here? I guess I will say anything cool here. You do see a series of doors along the hallway. Only one of them is unlocked. And we'll just put a DM note here that just says the unlocked one is to room 15. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Perfect. Great. We did it. We accomplished a thing. We accomplished a thing exactly right now. All right, and then these rooms are all locked. I think I am going to offer details to these, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer the details to them when we get to the next section, to the part 2 of the temple there, because that's where the descriptions are going to be more important, because the doors are locked, so like our players can bust down the doors or lockpick them if they're determined to do that, but their function is more important later on. So I want to have the descriptions and the effort put in really focused on that, and then we'll take those and transcribe them back into this section after we've written those, because I want to make sure that everything's copacetic. So there's going to be a lot of copy paste going on there, but I just want to like make sure I'm getting the order kind of you know, I guess in order. This is a redundant statement. I apologize. I'm wording badly today. Oh boy. So no, I think that's good. I think that's good. And that describes our hallway. Room 14 is just going to be the upper part of this area, and then 15 is kind of the interesting area. And like 15, I do like kind of the idea that we had where it's like 15 is going to be where they can find the second item that they need, right? So it's like they could have found that second item that they needed all along. They just didn't know they needed it. And I actually really like that idea too, because I think it'd be fun for them to, like, if they noticed the item and then didn't grab it, and then like later on they're like, oh wait, we need that, and then they can go back to find it. I think that'd be perfect. So yeah, all right, so 14, easy battle, easy peasy. What easy battles have we already done? I want to make sure I'm not repeating the same thing, because that's lame. It's 6 Jakuli. And then, what was the other one? It's 2 Jakuli and 1 giant constrictor. Beans. No, we're just gonna do 1 Gila monster, just like one giant Gila monster just chilling up on the walkway up there. Sizing and spacing is a little off, but screw it. I think it sounds funny. Right, easy battle. 700 XP. 700 zip. Da-da-da. And then we're just gonna go 1. Oops. Hold on. Oh shoot. Beans. Beans. I really stepped in it there. There we go. 1 of the. We already have it. Yeah, there we go. Copy. Paste that ish. Boom. How's it going? Albert of Sartir. Good to see you again. How dare you ever tire of being a bard? That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. One must always sing and be absurd and be unfairly given the personality traits only based on your sexuality and nothing else. Everyone knows that's what being a bard is all about. Being defined primarily and often exclusively by how much of a womanizer you are. That's, we all know it. We all know it. We all know it. Don't act like it's not true. Oh, it's good to see you. Glad to have you here. Alright, let's see here. So this room, a buff man with an anchor for a hand, Elwyn for wife and 3 children. Well, you know, when you put it that way, I guess I hadn't considered, I guess I had not considered the option of being born entirely different. That's a really good point. It's a really, really good point. Alright, so this room, this is like the upper part of the bell tower. Bell tower. That would track. I feel like I made that joke before. The bell tower joke. I'm like 90% sure I made that one on stream. So which means not only is it great that I made the same joke a second time, but now it's really great that I'm pointing it out. I feel like that really adds to the humor. Shame, what happened to Miss Chadsworth? I don't know if that's a reference that I'm missing. What happened to Miss Chadsworth? What? Oh no, what happened? What happened? Oh no, I hope everyone's okay. Alright, now I actually hope that everyone's okay and this is actually a joke and not some sort of actual horrible tragedy that I'm unaware of. It's gonna get real awkward real fast if that's the case. Especially because I'm still making a joke out of it. Guys, I'd be the best stand-up comic. I would stand here and I would describe every joke as I'm telling it. Actually, you know what? That works. That's like the entirety of what Daniel Tosh does. Right? That's like 90% of his stuff. Oh no! Horse fuckers is allowed. Automod. Automod. She died to the Navy. I became a pirate. Ah, of course. The origin story doth been revealed. Alright, let's see here. As you crest the stairs, you find yourself on a narrow walkway near the top of the bell tower. Is dark and you can only stand single file along the catwalk here. Here. This is unfortunate as there is a giant Gila monster sitting right on the walkway. He doesn't seem super interested in you at the moment, but he also doesn't seem super interested in moving either. Boom. New character building, chopped over his own hand with rusty butcher's knife. Execution as they're leading into the dungeons. I mean, I guess if it's like a hand o' death, I guess I would pick the hand. You know, like I get it. I hope I never have to prove that I would do that, but if I'm just sitting here thinking about like I can die or I can live sans one hand, I guess I would sacrifice the hand. I would if it was the only one available, I guess I'd use the rusty butcher's knife. The Ruchy knife. No, I guess I would use the rusty one, but I'd be a little nervous about tetanus or breaking the knife. Okay, now no name calling is a little uncalled for here. Okay, I have balls, big man balls. But I'm not gonna prove it. That's a different stream, and you got to pay me a lot more for me to actually get on camera and prove that one. So. Gonna have to take my word for it for now, and be happy with it. Okay, yeah, I don't think we really even need much of this other description going on here. Dark, and you can only stand single file on the catwalk here. Yeah, did we already describe? Hold on, something. Hold up. It was room 4. 4 was the bottom one. Did we? You enter this tower, you can see there's a staircase to bring you up to the second story of the temple. Long, thick ropes hang in the center of this room from the ceiling where the old church bells hang. If the next time they'll ring. However, you're not alone in the show. Okay, yep, nope. Everything is all copacetic and makes sense. Excellent. Yeah, I don't think we need any other description there. Beans. We're gonna put some lore in this one. Beans. Oh, you know it would be kind of fun. Putting some lore in this one. Check this out. For like the world building situation here. Lore. Oops, not lore you. Oh wait. Yeah. No wait. I got it right. No wait on the no wait. There's so much waiting. But not waiting because I said no wait. Does that mean like no, I need you to wait, or does that mean no wait, go? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Lore. Tacked to one of the walls, you see instructions regarding various patterns with which to ring the bells. Some describe holiday. Actually, here we'll say some describe standard daily worship chimes, while others specify specific patterns for holidays. Boom, there we go. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one. Oh, you know what would be kind of fun? It'd be kind of fun to like put maybe one or two that if they like follow one of them, like it'll have some sort of impact on the church. Hey, that'd be kind of interesting. Okay, here we go. I wanna do this. If players show interest, oh my goodness, in trying to follow any of the patterns, have them do one that is labeled purification. If players do that, have all remaining combats in the temple give enemies disadvantage on their initiative rolls, so that players have quicker reactions in combat. Boom, there we go. Yeah, there we go. We'll give them a little bonus. If they do that. It's perfect. I actually really like that. I think that's fun. I think that's a fun little thing. Something little, doesn't do a whole lot, but hey, you know, if they get curious and explore a little bit, then bada bing, bada boom, they get a reward. We'll give it to them. I like it. I like it a lot. What an excuse to play a man with an anchor for a hand. But she can toss, also attached to the chain. Fair enough. All right, fair enough. I guess I can't argue with that. It makes me think of the, shoot, what was the bad guy's name in Jingle All the Way? There was Turbo Man and the bad guy that like shot his fist out, right? He had the fist that would like shoot out and punch people, and then it would like magnetize back to his wrist. Oh, what was his name? He had his demon team. Booster was the pink thing. I don't remember the guy. I don't remember the villain's name. Whatever. And a time to give enemies 110 HP. Well, that's just called being a DM. You can give the enemies however much HP you want. That's called DM privilege. You can just do that whenever you want. You don't gotta come up with an in the lore reason for that. Screw that. Alright, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna refresh my beverage, and then when I come back, we will keep working on this temple a little bit. We might even actually finish this. Whoops, as I'm hitting my mic. How's that for ASMR right there? Now, when we get back, we might even be able to finish this this level of this dungeon today. So I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I appreciate your patience. I'm back. Alrighty. Let me get myself comfortable here. Alright. On with my chair wheels today. They're just like being all kinds of fussy. No, don't wheel me too far over. I gotta stay in the line of the camera. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to adjust the camera position, change up where the angles are, and recenter myself, and this the whole process. And I'd rather not open that can of worms. You know what I mean? Just it's a little much. It's too much. It's too much. Anyway, let's see if we can't finish this dungeon. Like, I didn't really realize that we were that close to finishing this floor of the dungeon. But hey, you know, I'm pretty stoked about that. I think it's gonna be great. Hi, Kitty. What? Why are you staring at? Like, I don't know. I just am. I actually know exactly why she's staring. She wants food, even though she's like 2 hours away from dinner time. She wants food. Isn't that right? Yeah. No, you want your food. Not gonna happen yet. All right. Anyway, sorry. That's only amusing to me. None of you guys can see. Can see what I'm interacting with. So this is 100% for my own benefit. All right. Great. Yeah, that's right. Okay, we were gonna add the little key to get into that box, just as a fun little Easter egg for him. Oh, we need to come up with a trap for this room. Oh boy. All right, so we got to think about a trap. So this is the type of thing where, you know, sort of what I was saying the other day about how I really want to be kind of bringing my focus back into remembering to world build before I game build, right? Like, it'd be real easy to just say, like, I don't know, there's a trap door, you know, but it's like, why would there be a trap door? This room is meant to be the dormitory for, you know, whatever monks would live in this temple back in the day. That's what this is meant to be. So what kind of, like, it kind of becomes a question, what's a reasonable trap that monks in like a temple would want to employ, right? It's they're unlikely to do anything too particularly violent, right? So I'm wondering, so I feel like what they would do, first off, just when you think about the type of traps that would be in a temple in general, I feel like they would most likely be the kind that would cause some sort of inconvenience, in the sense of making it so that whoever's like trying to steal or sneak in or vandalize or whatever wouldn't be able to leave. So that way they would be like captured and brought to justice. So my immediate thought is a big giant bear trap that'll snap your leg up. No, monks wouldn't do that. That's not subtle enough. I feel like what my thought is. So first off, the other thing too is to try and think about what in here would be trapped. So we know we are going to put in. We're going to put in that key, but even that I don't think needs to be the part that's trapped. We were going to put... Excuse me, did I put a note about this down here? I don't think I put a note about this. I didn't put a note about it. But I know I had thought about making it so that the item that our players are going to need to find on their second visit is going to be in this room. So it's like it was actually available the whole time is the idea here. So but maybe we can make that trapped. So it's like something that they would willfully leave alone. And then suddenly when it came time that they actually needed it, they would have to face the trap and deal with it. So maybe if we make it so that it's kind of obviously trapped. Maybe if we trap it in a way that will, like I say, like immobilizing them or something like that seems like it would be the most on point. The trick is with like an immobilization trap, unless like you have two options with making some sort of immobilization trap and having it actually be worth something. And this is actually something I talk about this a lot. Go back and watch my Neverwinter Nights playthroughs, right, when I'm playing those old games. I talk about it a lot, how in that game they have this weird habit of doing paralysis traps on chests. And the reason why those are dumb, why that's a dumb use of them, is because, excuse me, there's a time limit on that trap. Right? You're only paralyzed for so long. But they put it on treasure chests that people are only going to open once they've killed all of the enemies. So the only function of that paralysis trap is that it just inconveniences you and makes you waste 30 seconds or a minute or whatever it is. It doesn't risk getting you killed. There's literally no consequence for it. There's literally no consequence for it other than just being mildly inconvenienced. So I got to a point where I'd just be like, well, I'll just go face the trap, because the worst it's going to do is I'm going to have to sit here for an extra 30 seconds. Like, why use up resources when that's the thing? So that's the problem with paralysis traps. So there's two options to combat that. One, make it so that you're paralyzed, and then some other danger that will harm or kill you will get to you before the spell wears off. Or make it so that the spell doesn't wear off and the person just stands there immobilized. Those are the two options. The other option, now that I'm thinking about it though, I immediately have another option. And I think the option could be to trap the item itself. So our players need to get like some sort of holy icon. This is what they're going to need when they're actually trying to take the item that we're talking about possibly trapping here. You know, they'll actually need to get said item. Well, what we can do is maybe the icon is on a necklace, and the icon itself is the item that they need, and the chain of the necklace has been modified. And my thought is, what if the chain really limits your movement, and it cuts your movement down that you can only move 5 feet per turn? That's like a significant inconvenience. It's something that they could maybe puzzle through and figure out, right? If they do some good arcana checks or whatever. Figure that one out and figure out like, oh, let's take the chain or the icon off of the chain. That we just have the icon, we can leave the chain behind. So there's a way to puzzle through it and figure it out. And the other thing about it too is, if there are monsters in the dungeon, that is going to be a significant inconvenience. And you can even roleplay that, where once they leave that dungeon, if they don't handle it, they're just stuck moving that slow, which means they're going to be constantly accosted by random encounters. Right? So that could actually turn into something that is a major inconvenience going on, because you make it so that it just doesn't wear off. Right? It's like, as long as you have that chain, you're going to move that slowly. And if you're okay with that, then great. You guys, it takes you a decade to go from one side of the city to another. That's the game you want to play. Go for it. But I think that'll work. And I think what I like about that one too is it's subtle. It's simple, and it would make sense for a monk to have something like that, because all they would want to do is slow down whoever took it, right, so that they can't make off with whatever this holy icon is. So I think that works really well. So for the trap, let's go ahead and describe this here. Well, here, first off, let's describe our room in general here. So the door to this room creaks open. Find yourselves standing in old dormitory. Dormitory? There it is. Dormitory of sorts. based on the minimal possession by each bunk, you would guess that this was once the sleeping quarters of the monks who lived and served in this church. We'll say, though heavily moth-eaten. Man, I am just not spelling well right now. Like I say, if you're here because you want some cool ideas and discuss stuff about D&D, great place for you to be. I love that you're here. I love it. Perfect. If you're here because you're hoping to get some really good examples of proper grammatical typing and just general writing skill, run. Oh, it's not gonna happen here. I'm not an excellent writer. I'm just a creative dude with a computer and a keyboard. That's all it is. Which, like, hopefully that gives you some motivation and some encouragement, because clearly that's all you need to do to be able to be someone who is a generally appreciated DM, or so my players make me believe, right? It's like, hey, great, people like it. But yeah, no, they'll let any jackass type whatever they want nowadays, and it just is fortunate for me, but it's pretty unfortunate for every grammar freak out there. So, them's the breaks. My big hero is Shakespeare. He made up words. I don't need no dictionary. Right, anyway, so heavily moth-eaten. The beds are tidily made with their simple woolen blankets. A single nightstand sits by each bed. Single nightstand sits by each bed. A single wardrobe stands in the corner of the room. It feels cozy, if a bit empty in here. Boom. There we go. Decent description of like a monk's bunk room. A monk bunk. The monk bunk. Where do you sleep? Oh, I sleep in the monk bunk. It's a whole bunk of monks. Yeah, I think that's good. And then we can add... Okay, wait, hold on. We still need to describe the trap. Let's see here. We'll say mounted on the wall. We'll say one of the walls. Walls is a very lovely, ornate medallion. We'll call it a medallion that depicts a tall mountain. This medallion is attached to a tarnished gold chain, though you feel that you may be able to restore it given time and supplies. Chain and hung on the wall, apparently with great prominence and importance. Alright, so now we can add some DM notes here. This is the holy icon that players will need to get during the second visit here. The chain is cursed with slow movement. The person holding it can only move 5 feet at a time. There we go. So just like it really cripples your movement. To avoid the issue, simply remove the medallion from the chain. It's really as simple as that. But I think what kind of is going to get them, what'll get people or players, is the fact that it's not going to be made clear that the chain and the medallion are separate things, right? Like that's something that they'll kind of have to intuitively figure out, whether it's like Arcana checks, whether it's investigation, whatever it is, they can kind of figure that out. I'm going to say DC 14 to recognize that the chain is the source of the curse, not any other part of the medallion. Boom, there we go. I think that's like actually really kind of a cool trap right there. It's very simple, very straightforward. But at the same time, I think it's one that players won't intuitively know the answer to, and I think it's one that will like legitimately cause a lot of disruption and frustration for players if they come across it. I think that one works well. I like that one. I like that. Good job, me. I did it. Love patting my own back. Alright, so this next part. Oh, why would you do this to me? We were doing so good. Need all the bullet points to stay black. Okay, potions and key for box in room 1. Alright, we'll say these items are easy to find if players search through the wardrobe in the room. Easy enough. Like, I wouldn't even make them do a search if they just decide to go ahead and search through things. Actually, no, but I am going to add one thing. Room. But players must specify they are checking the wardrobe. There we go. So that way, if they're just like, yeah, I'd like to investigate the room, it's like, okay, yeah, you investigate the room. Don't say anything. And then if someone says, oh, what about that wardrobe? It's like, oh, well, yeah, if you go over and open the wardrobe, you can just kind of pass it off that way. But that's a good, like, those types of things, doing those types of, like, little tricksy bits of wordplay and stuff like that can be a really good way to hide something in plain sight. You want to be careful with that. Like, don't abuse it, because you don't want to, artificially block players from finding things that they're supposed to be able to find just because you felt like being cheeky, right? You want to use that method sparingly, but at the same time, if you want something to be kind of difficult to find, you can sort of omit it until they specifically ask about it or something that would lead to them finding it, especially too, the other thing is, especially keep in mind that that's an approach that you can take when you're talking about an item that is not an essential item to, whatever their goals are, whatever their campaign that they're working on is, right? Like if there's a story necessary item, don't hide it like that. Don't even give it the chance to miss, because either they're like unless they find it, right? If they don't find it right away for those things, either you have to just like quit and give up and give it to them anyway, so it didn't matter what they rolled, or Or like you have to risk frustrating your players because they're trying to find something specific and it's just not there for them, right? So it's like you got to be careful if it's a necessary item, but if it's unnecessary stuff like potions and a key to get some money, yeah, go ahead and make it tough. Or make it tough. Those are like the Easter eggs. It's like finding the skulls in Halo, right? Where it's like you don't need those to win, so you got to really earn that ish. Got to earn that crap. Oh, they're checking the wardrobe. Okay, so then we can just say, as you open the wardrobe, you find 4 identical brown robes. It appears this was a shared wardrobe by the monks. It appears this was a shared wardrobe by the monks when they lived here. On one side is a small shelf on which a few interesting items can be found. And then we can our stuff here. I'm gonna, for this one, because it's just a temple, I'm actually going to, for the potions, I'm just gonna give them 5 healing potions for this one. Like, I never do that, but like, forget it, let's do it. 5x potion of Vader healing. Do that, and then we want to put a small e, and then we'll go ahead and parentheses the DM note. Goes to the lockbox in 1. Boom. There we go. I think that works just great. I like that, and I like what we come up with this room. Like I said, I'm really pleased actually with the concept of the trap for this one, because I mean, like, monks would probably still want to protect holy items and artifacts like the medallion or whatever, but like, I don't know, it's a hard sell to like make me think that they would put up, you know, on the door, they would Indiana Jones that, where it's like if you open up the door, suddenly a big boulder comes rolling after you, or, you know, you open up the door and you get hit in the face with a big boxing glove or something, right? Like, something harmful just doesn't seem very monk-like. I wouldn't expect a monk to do that, so I think that's good. That's really good. Okay. All right. I'm pleased with that. And that's kind of the last room we have. We still have these 5 rooms, but we're gonna get those differently, or get those during the next section. But I think what we'll go ahead and do is let's pull up our map and let's start adding some details here. Excuse me. I apologize. Like, we've got a lot of rooms that need a little bit of detailing here. So I'm gonna pull up. I'm just gonna bring my notes over to the other tab here. And so, hold on though, I gotta like figure out how to set this up. Man, but I don't want to not be able to see the chat. I guess if I just leave it minimized like that. There we go, that'll work, Alright, so this first room being used to store various extra seats and cushions and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if ever a crowd is too large for the existing benches to add. Ah, that's right. Storage room. Oh, excuse me. Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, let's. What do I need? I need my object tool. That's what. There you are. Okay, yeah. So let's do chair. I want the chairs to kind of give off a vibe of being stacked, so I'm going to stack them. Need to be exactly uniform, but you know, what a shoddy chair stacking would it be if everything was all crooked and ready to fall over? Am I right? Am I right or am I right? I mean, come on, people. Got those. Maybe, let's see, we mentioned a couple cushions. Maybe there's a couple tables here and there. Tables kind of tucked up in there. Have just cushion. Thou art accurate. Thou haseth a point. Thine meaning is interpreted correctly. Thou speaketh the truth. Old-timey is fun, isn't it? Cushion. No, not onion. Okay, what if we do pillow then? Oh, pile, because it's like P-I-L for the pillow. There's dungeon. Okay, this is the one thing I will say about this tool, about Dungeon Draft. The search tool is just the goofiest damn thing right now. Like it could use a little bit of work. Just a bit. Okay, there's our pile of cushions. There's a pile of cushions. You know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get another table here. I'm gonna get a table, not a stable. So, look, I know that I'm not always the most savvy when it comes to how language works and stuff like that, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm struggling to understand exactly how I can search for the word table and a horse comes up. Like, if anything, that just seems like it's kind of rude to the horse, am I right? Like, yeah, they both got 4 legs, but the horse can still walk around and actually has, like, thoughts to itself. I don't know, I just feel like I don't understand anything anymore. I feel like the world's a mystery to me. I guess the small table? Yeah, we'll do one of these. We'll put the lock box right on there. What was that? There was something else I was thinking of that I wanted to put in order. But I don't remember what it was. It's fine. We don't really need anything else. So let's go ahead and do. Let's just search for cup. Or wait, no, we don't need a. Why am I thinking cup? For some reason, I was thinking goblet, but we don't need a goblet. We need a chest. We need a chest. Why was I thinking goblet? Wait, like a chalice? What was that? I guess I was just thinking of like communion wine and stuff like that. We mentioned is going to be kind of a thing in this temple to a degree. But actually, that doesn't make sense because the religion that we've invented doesn't include a body and blood of Christ. Sacrament situation. Excuse me. Oh man, the afternoon yawns are catching up to me here. They're coming to get me. They are coming to get me. So we need a chest. A nest. That's the same thing. Oh, that's like the perfect little lockbox. It's so cute. Look at that. It's perfect. Oh, I love it. Great. Oh, you know what we can put in here that there would be extras of? Let's do candle. Just assuming these are. I always just assume these are meant to be like standing candle holders. You know what I mean? Like just the big tall pillars, almost like a medieval version of a lamp. Imagine there'd be a few of those there. All right, so that's great. 3. This is going to be our actual like worship hall. So this one is actually going to be pretty easy. I'm going to do a tub first. Because there's like the baptismal fountain here that is like all of the, that like, you know, has kept all of the stuff, you know, all the water, and it's still purified holy water. It's magically purified. That shit doesn't spoil. Okay, we're not talking about like run-of-the-mill pasteurization here. Okay, that is some real holy divine intervention water purification going on there. Can't argue with that. Just can't. Altar? Oh yeah, we could do. No, I think I don't want to do that. I want to do. Let's just do table again. I want to find like a pedestal type of thing. So I know we've got. Let's see here. We can just do. If we did one of these or something like that, that looks like a pretty good like. It looks like you know, like one of them podiums, right, that they stand at and lecture you about how you're going to hell, right? Yeah, this looks like a podium. That's the word I was looking for. The podium there. And when I'm thinking about how this would have been set up here, I'm going to actually go back to the candle. And I feel like they would have had, you know, a couple candle standles right there, right? You know what I mean? A couple of those right there. Maybe they would put some right here by the fountain. There we go. Like the baptismal situation going on there. I think that's great. And then I also think now we got to do some benches here. Get the benches. Ah, perfect. Like a nice pew. Decent ones here. Kind of like this one. This one looks very pew-like to me. And I feel like we should set it up so that, like, we have all of them facing the altar. You know what I mean? Like that, and then we get that. That. Then it, like, widens up a little bit, right? Yeah. Again. And then just like a couple rows in the back. Almost feel like they would also have like one additional one in each of these. Right, just to maximize seating. Looks so messy though. I don't know if I like that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not actually over fond of that. Whoa, whoops. Let's just go ahead and undo that. Yeah, okay. What was going on with that, but we'll just go ahead and do it. Okay. It's just not big enough to really warrant setting them up that way as far as like the space that we have to work with goes. I guess what would actually probably be better is if I go ahead and have them all facing the center. It'd either be the center or facing forward. Let me try something here. Let me try something. We'll figure this one out. We got time to kind of goof around with this. Let me just try something. Go like boom, and then like angle, right? And then we can go like boom, boom, angle, angle. See what I'm doing here? You see where I'm going with this? I see where I'm going with this. I like where I'm going with this. Of course, that's a little narcissistic, so you won't hear me say that out loud. And then one more. And then like one of the angled ones here. And it just like kind of does that as a way to simulate wrapping around. And like up here on this last section right here, we'll just have it go straight across. And then just like one extra one back here. And then we can mimic that on this side. There it is. There it is. Okay, now I'm feeling good about what we're making here. I think this is kind of cool. Now the thing is I think I need to bust some of these up. Like probably delete some of these and put some broken wood there. Because I'm pretty sure that's how I described it in the notes. I'll have to check on that real quick. But first, let me finish. There we go. Yeah, this works. This works just fine. I like it. And then we've got there, there, one, that. There we go. Perfect. That looks good. It looks like a bug. It looks like a giant bug. Look, we got legs and we got like little beady bug eyes right there. You see that? It looks like a bug. It's a little bug. It's so cute. Anyway. Let me see here. This is room 3. How did I describe this one? You walk into the main worship hall of this temple. Remnants of pews lay strewn about. As best you can see, there aren't any that have survived in this room. Ugh. Oh god, okay, we're gonna change that up. I don't want to undo. I finally figured out how to lay it all out. I'm gonna change that. Let's see here. Notice the pews lay strewn about among the seats that are still intact. Boom, there we go. Lying among the rubble, you can see two massive lizards that are eyeing you quite hungrily. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Perfect. Yeah, that works. So now we'll just kind of go through here and get rid of a couple of these here. If we get rid of, like, and the trick here too is going to be to, like, kind of get them in little patches here. No, stop. Stop. Undo. Trick is going to be to, like, find patches and clumps of them rather than just, like, choosing random ones that are all destroyed. It's easy to think that you should just do random ones, but I actually find it looks more natural. Oops. More natural and realistic to us if we do destruction. That's what we're looking for. But yeah, if you do clumps like that, it makes more sense because it's like something destroyed all of the pews that were right there and all the pews that were in that thing, rather than there being like, rather than it looking like someone was just like targeting those, you know, like screw that pew in particular, you know, that meme. I know y'all like that meme. All right, you just kind of like, I'm gonna look kind of silly in uniform because I'm using the same asset for all of them, but that's okay. Kind of pile up some of the wood and stuff. Just like that. Yeah, there we go. We can do that one and that one. Got wood piles and stuff there. Gonna have just like one that kind of branches, you know, between the two. It's a little, yeah, it's a little silly with the same thing, but that actually works. I think that looks good. So at a quick glance, that's acceptable, right? Like if we wanted to really fine-tooth comb it, I'm sure players all over the world would be able to be like, oh, that looks bad. But you know, those people are jerks and we don't need to listen to them. We'll line the aisleway with some candles. Candle stands are so big. Kind of goofy, but that's okay. Oh, you know what? That one should be gone because of the damage and destruction. Oh, my cat is behind me. She's. I recently, not long ago, I went out to a craft fair, in which there was a husband and wife there, and they had homegrown homemade catnip products. So naturally, I bought a whole bunch of them so I could really turn my cat into a druggie. And naturally, it was one of the best decisions I've made. And she absolutely loves it. It's hilarious. Catnip is from the same family as mint, like mint tea and all that kind of stuff, and just like mint the plant. So it actually kind of serves like a bit of an air freshener too. Just perfect. And watching my cat spaz out over it from time to time cracks me up. Oh, I love it. Humans, when they get high, a little sad sometimes. Animals, when they get high, now that is a wild ride. Right there. Hell yeah. What am I working on? Oh, yeah, I was going to put some more lighting in here. Oops, hey. There we go. Oh, shoot. Oh, how do I need this off. I don't want that on. My bad. Okay, there we go. Light. Boom. Yeah, I just want to put a couple torches that kind of go around the walls here, because they would have wanted their temple to be well lit for people who were here parishioning and all that. Is that the proper term for it? Parishioning? I can already tell you it's not. The proper word is just worshiping. But they are parishioners because they go to the parish is what it is. That's where the word comes from. The more you know. How about that? You did learn something today. I was able to share something moderately useful to people. At least a couple of them. There we go. Perfect. I actually really like that. I think that room looks really cool. That really did turn that into like a hell of a church. I had chosen this flooring too because I had originally thought that I would have like all of the pews just like facing into the aisle. But I actually really like the way this looks right now. I think this looks really, honestly, church-like. I don't know. Maybe I've just got a warped view of church because the last time I was there was when I was a very young child, but still. I feel like I got judged and felt in trouble enough just for existing in that building. That's made enough of an impression for me to remember pretty accurately what it looked like in there. I was never a troublemaking kid. I just had a very strong guilt complex, and church does not help with that. I'll tell you what. Not to smack on any of it. I guess it's more of like a, like I genuinely don't like. I know some people get like real, battle of the religions and all that type of stuff. I don't mean to like smack talk anyone's beliefs or anything. It's more so an indictment on the church that I went to. They were really big into that Catholic guilt thing, and it's why my parents ultimately left that place too, because they're like, this seems just kind of not happy and pleasant. Rather leave. So here we are. All right, shelves. We already described this room as having lots of shelves all around, so I'm going to go ahead and set up exactly that. Shelves, 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 shelves. Boom, and then I also think what's going to be obvious is we need to add more shelves. We'll do like shelves like that and like that. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. There's the shelves. Perfect. Now, I am noticing, and you may have noticed as well, that the windows are kind of misaligned with the shelves. I think what I'm going to do about that is not give a rip, because there's limits, and I don't want to redesign the entire building. So, oh, here we are. Alas. Alack and alas. Great. That room's easy. I suppose I do want to like add some sort of form. I guess I want to add light sources to both of those rooms. Hold on. I am thinking that I'm gonna, so I've been kind of talking about how I will, even though it's like kind of unrealistic for there to be lit candles and stuff in these rooms, how I've been doing it to be kind of nice to my players, so that way they can have less struggles with like fog of war and darkness and being unable to see anything. In these talks about trying to get back to my like world building roots when I'm working on these things, I'm gonna double back on that. I'm gonna say screw those players. I want to make this place like accurate to what it would actually be like. So none of these things are gonna get the light treatment. There's a lot of windows they can see in here, and you know what? They can just friggin' deal with it. And if they want to have to like see, they're gonna have to like burn a torch, and someone's gonna have to carry it around. They'll have to put a light source on. Screw it, man. I'm trying to create a vision here. Trying to create something here, man. You can't hold me down, man. Sorry. A little more adversarial than I meant it to be, but the point stands. The point stands, and I think I'm gonna like hold a little more true to how I actually sort of envisioned this all looking, this area. So that's just the way it's gonna be. Put a couple lights in. This room is actually just like completely empty stone, because it's like it goes up into the bell tower. I guess the one thing I will do here is actually I'm gonna go for some rope. We're just gonna put like a couple things of rope down there to simulate the ropes that are hanging from the ceiling. You can't really show them there, like ropes hanging down from this bird's eye view, but I'm gonna put them there and have it all set up just like that. I think that's perfect. Yeah. Okay, what were these other rooms? Room 5? Oh, that's right. Yeah, this was just like the cry room / prayer chamber. So we're just going to put a lot of cushions and chairs and stuff. Do we have like just a seating? Oh, shelf, skeletons, stairs, snow, furniture. I guess furniture, living quarters, maybe. Try furniture and see what we can. Yeah, like I imagine like a lot of these benches kind of going all around here. Bench. 'Try bench, and maybe a bench. And then, hey, guess what? A bench, and a bench, and a bench. There we go. See? Lots of benches. And we'll put lots of little cushions down and stuff. It's just supposed to be like a cry room, like a nice place. So if you have a crying baby, you can take the baby in there rather than pissing off everyone else around there because, you know, it's your baby. It's your problem. Why do I got to deal with it? Why is it that I have to be the one who listens to and deals with a cranky, ornery child at the grocery store because you decided to not use protection? Damn it. Sorry. I might have some personal demons that I need to work my way through on that one. That was much more, again, more adversarial. You can tell I'm getting a little punchy here. Finish up this map. We'll finish up adding details to this map, and I think that should bring us quite nicely to the end of the stream. It's perfect. It's perfect, man. Okay, this was the room with all the confessionals. I don't know what I'm gonna do for like confessionals here. Like, I don't think they, like, I would almost need to just, like, build separate rooms, right? Because they don't, like, have a small room block or anything. I don't know. What's this? Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta check this real quick. I gotta check this real quick for work. I don't need to go up and do anything for it. I just need to understand what's going on with this one. Hold on. Oh, okay, gotcha. Got it. Okay, figured it out. Sorry. That was very rude of me, but I needed to know. All right. Like, there's supposed to be kind of closed room confessionals here. I don't know if they would have anything like that. Living quarters, furniture, mess hall, military, nature, office, tavern, town, water. Crafts and maybe no. Golly, yeah, I don't even know how they would do something. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Here's exactly how I'm gonna do this. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Yeah, the scope is a little wonky to do it this way, but this is exactly how I'm gonna do it. We're gonna go to our wall tool, and we're just gonna set up some walls here, some thin wooden walls, and we're just going to. We'll go ahead and snap to the grid. Oh, I can't see my grid. Oops, that's what I wanted to do. I want to see the grid. There we go. Yeah. And so we're just going to build a couple little confessional booths here. And we can just set those up, and we'll put little, see. Yeah, we'll do, I mean, like, in theory, churches would usually only have, like, one, right? Because, like, it would be the one where the, it would just be the one that like the pastor would use, but this one, because we're having multiple monks here, we'll do this. I don't like that wall, though. I don't like that particular wall for it. I think I'm gonna undo that. Maybe these walls? I just kind of want to make them bigger, too. I like that. There's actually one other thing I want to do with it. So I am going to go to the room tool. I'm going to do that floor with this one, because they're going to be like wooden things that would get set up normally. There we go. Why? Ring is going to be dumb. Ugh. All right, that's okay. We'll figure it out. Yeah, it's going to be really dumb. Never mind. I hate it. No, we'll get it. We'll get this figured out. We are going to do the walls. We'll just do it this way. Right there. Those are our confessional booths. Boom. Boom. Like that. Because there would be like the partition, right? And this way we can like fit a chair in there, right? And so there's like a little extra space. So that just makes more sense to do it this size anyway. Okay, that and that. That. There we go. What about like that? Now let's go to flooring tool. Ourselves some wood flooring here. That's what we need. Ah, gosh, see, I knew there would be a way to do it. I knew we'd do it. Doors. Door there. Door there. Great. And then we just need to go and grab little chairs here. I mean, technically there'd be a window there, but I'm not gonna put that there. We're just gonna leave it blank there, because it would be one of them like wood mesh things, so you couldn't actually see who it is. It's like the point of a confessional, is you don't know who it is. because it's not supposed to be the pastor judging you. It's God judging you. And so, like, it's supposed to be an anonymous situation, right? Let's unsnap things here. Chair and a chair. 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 Char. 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 There we go. Perfect. We set that up like that. And we can just go to, let's go here, and we can just set up some lighting. It's kind of in the way to, like, kind of in the way of the doors to do that, but we'll just put a couple candle lights and stuff around. And then actually maybe we'll just do some torches here and there. They're not going to be lit, so it doesn't really matter, but for decoration purposes, that makes sense. There we go. A little cluttered, but it works. It works. And then let's see. So now we got to do our entryway here, and this is going to have like benches and coat hangers if I'm remembering properly. So let's go ahead and get our benches again. We can do benches, benches, this, and then I think we'll do like porch. Under the number, so it kind of doesn't matter that it's there, but I'll know if I don't do it, and I need to do it. So I do that. And do they have like a coat rack or something? I doubt there's a coat rack. No, for crying out loud. Yeah, no, yeah, there's a mummy. Oh, it's a cocoon. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, oh, there's a mummy. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. I'm just gonna hand wave it. I'm gonna hand wave it and call it good there. And then let's see here. So now we've just got our top floor to do here. So these rooms we'll still need to do at some point, but we're gonna leave those empty for now. This room is pretty much empty because it's just a hallway. So really we just need to do this room, which is the monk's bedroom. So let's go ahead. I think we can go ahead and do, if we do furniture. Actually, you know what? If we do, yeah, living quarters maybe. And so these are going to be basic beds. These are the basic batch. Just a basic bed. We can do like one of the beds is right there. One of the beds goes right there. I want to do like 4 beds. So we do one right there, one right there. Right there. Perfect. And then if we can find, what's that? A chair bath? I'm going to do just like a bedside table. It says chair, but that kind of looks like a table as well. We'll do a table for each one. Boom. Go. And then we just need a nice wardrobe. Do they have wardrobes in here? I know they have wardrobes as assets. Here we go. Kind of. Desk. Actually, you know what? Putting a few desks would make sense, right? They would study at their desks. So we'll just put a couple desks. One desk. One desk. One more desk. There we go. We can kind of set that up just like that. And then we'll put one wardrobe. That's actually kind of what this is, isn't it? It says a desk, but I'm going to call that a wardrobe because it looks a lot like a wardrobe. And we'll put the wardrobe maybe right there. Boom. Okay. All right. Now we just need some light. We go to lighting. There we go. We'll grab just a little couple candles and just like blink, 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 blink. I feel like they would do doot, doot, and doot. Little candles there for some lighting. And then there would probably be a couple torches here. Boom. Boom. And maybe one right there. Boom. And then they would probably have like actual torch lights for when they wanted a bit more light. You know what I mean? The candles would just be for like nighttime reading to not bother each other. There. Okay, I think that looks good. Looks kind of like a dormitory. I mean, I might normally put a few more amenities there, but this is meant for monks, so I feel like it would be kind of just basic, you know what I mean? There wouldn't be a whole lot going on there. I think that's actually quite nice exactly as it is. I kind of like it. And then, like I say, we do still need to do a little bit. Oops, no. Jumping between windows again. Yeah, we'll need to add decorations there, but we're going to save that. We're going to save that. So I'm going to, well, we're going to save everything. We're going to save everything, and then we'll save this for later once we actually get those descriptions all taken care of. Beautiful. All right, all right, all right. Look at that temple coming to life there. boy, they always look so different once you add all of the decorations and stuff into it. It always just looks so different. I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it. I'm really happy with the progress that we've made here. This looks really good. This looks really good. And the timing really is just about perfect. Just about perfect, because we're nearing the end. So I'm going to go ahead and do my little sign off here. Let me bring us to our just chatting. Great work today. Fun discussions, good work, good progress on our dungeon and everything. Man, I'm really pleased with today. It's a really good day. It's a really good day. Hi, kitty. I know, she's very mad at me. She wants food right now. Not time yet. Just glaring at me. Thank you so much to everyone who joined me. It's really nice. I'm really glad I was able to get back streaming this week. I was worried that this cold would knock me out for like 2 weeks, like the last time I was sick did. And this has really just been like a 3-day cold. It's been really nice. I mean, you know, knock on wood here, because that could change. I hope it doesn't. But yeah, good day streaming. Good productive day streaming. I love it. I love it. Good, getting some good writing done. So yeah, thank you again to everyone who stopped by. If you want to stay connected, as always, I've got my Discord server. You can get yourself connected with that. I love chatting with people about the things they're making. I put announcements about my streams and stuff like that there. It's a good way to stay connected. I also have a Twitter, Envira Streams on Twitter, if you're looking for just smaller snippets and just like quick announcements when I'm going live and stuff like that. You can follow me on Twitter. That's a really good place to do it. I do have an Instagram. You know, I talked a lot today about how there's a lot of other things that I do with my life. You know, I'm a kickboxer. I do rock climbing. I got a cat and all that kind of stuff. And if that stuff interests you, if you think that's kind of neat, you can follow me on Instagram, EnviraBoy Streams on Instagram. You're always welcome to follow me there. And then, of course, I do have my YouTube channel. If you want to catch any of the VODs, you know, any of the past streams, you can find all my VODs there on YouTube. You know, I just put them up there. They're just there. If you want to see things that I've written in the past, you want to see games that I played in the past, there, if that's what suits your fancy. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow's Friday, and I should be here to stream tomorrow. We're going to get back. It's been over a week since I played some Halo Infinite, so we're going to get back to that. So I'm going to play a little bit of that tomorrow, I think. So you can catch me then. My usual stream times are Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's Eastern time zone. And I try to also log on occasionally in the evenings when I have time. We've been in the evenings. I have been kind of ongoing, just my slow burn run through of Elden Ring we have going on. So, you know, follow the notifications to see about those evening ones. Otherwise, you can see me at the normal times. Mondays and Thursdays are when I do my writing. Tuesdays and Fridays are when I do gaming. So those are the times you can find me. You're welcome by anytime. Anytime you feel like it, you can stop by and come one, come all, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I should be back tomorrow. We'll do some gaming, ease our way into a weekend with some gaming, and it'll be a good time. So, again, thank you so much to everyone who stopped by. I appreciate you guys coming by. I have so much fun doing this. I really do love streaming. It's such a good time. And it means a lot to me that people stop by and hang out. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, I'll catch you cats on the flip side. Yeah.